A little disclaimer before we get rolling here. You're about to hear some ads. They are all from local entities that want to support the baseball community. A lot of these guys have deep connections. We're players themselves, so if you see having a need for any one of these services, please go patronize these guys. Thank you. We are also brought to you by Body Cemetery, located at 2201 West White Oaks Drive, bodycemetery.com. More specifically, Chad Marshik, the owner, head trainer. This guy is just amazing on so many levels. He is capable of training anyone from a child to a pro athlete to just your normal everyday person to the elderly. And not only is he a trainer, but he is also adept with, physical therapy, nutrition. Everything is going to be customized to you and what you need. There's a movement analysis when you first come in to address any deficiencies you have. It's all customized. Chad is the most positive, happy guy I've ever been around. Body Cemetery will get you right. I would, put my faith in Chad and his trainers any day. So go to bodycemetery.com, get set up. Chad, we appreciate you. Thank you. We are also brought to you by Hurwitz Enterprises. They can be reached at 217-544-4002. Get a hold of them for all your commercial real estate needs. They've been the best in the business since 1978 around here. I'm talking Joe, I'm talking Mimi, I'm talking Mikey, all working there. This is an absolute baseball family. I love the Hurwitz family. Jake, the older brother, played at Illinois College. Henry played with me at Lincoln Lane Community College, one of my favorite all-time teammates. And Mikey, the youngest, was a stud at the U of I. Again, love this family. Go support them. Thanks, Hurwitz. Today's episode is brought to you by Jason Knadler and the Bank of Springfield. I will be the first to tell you that I am not the most literate person financially, but I do know people, and I know that the Bank of Springfield has invested in a lot of people that I know and trust. They have invested heavily in former local area athletes and baseball players. Off the top of my head, I can think of, Jason Knadler, Justin Knadler, Eric Weaver, Tim Wallen, Greg Morantz, Frank Stefano, Murph Mathiet, Ryan Murphy. These are all guys that I know and trust and would have no problems putting my financial future in their hands. And so Bank of Springfield is always involving themselves in local charities and the community and talks about being a family. So if you're going to put your money somewhere, take it to Bank of Springfield. These are guys you can trust. We are also brought to you by Eric Easley of the Easley Real Estate Team. With the Real Estate Group, he can be reached at 217-971-3256 or at theeasleysalesteam.com. This is Eric Easley, local baseball legend. Back in the mid-'90s, was a shortstop quarterback combo at Southeast, stand out there. Went on to play at Western Illinois and was an umpire for a long time. Now he has been in the real estate game for about 13 years. Have a lot of respect for this guy. I've always liked this guy. Happy to have him on board. Please go see the Easley Real Estate Team for all your real estate needs. We are also brought to you by Sheehan and Sheehan Lawyers, located at 1215 South 4th Street, Suite A. They can be contacted at 217-544-0701. I'm talking Pat Sr., Pat Jr., and Willie. They can be contacted for adoption needs, agricultural law, business and commercial law, estate planning, real estate planning, taxation, traffic and minor traffic offenses, personal injury, wrongful death suits. And I grew up with Willie playing baseball on the Southwest Braves. We were state champs. He played high school baseball and soccer at SHG. Pat Jr. was an accomplished baseball player at SHG, SCI, and finally the U of I. We really appreciate the Sheens here. Love this guy. Love this family. Great, great family. So go see these guys. Appreciate you. We are also brought to you by Josh Badman of Radon Fighters. He can be reached at 217-823-9536. This is a great guy. He's my fellow firefighter. Use post-game spread as a code to save $25 on a radon inspection. If you're buying a home or just want peace of mind for radon in your house, please give Josh a call. He was a standout player at Morrisonville back in the day and then played at SCI for Coach Tor in the early 2000s. Go see Radon Fighters. We are also brought to you by Cornerstone Financial Services, specifically the founder and my buddy, Ryan Kaiser. We were part of the Dance Dads together. We met while our daughters were doing ballet. Love this guy. They're a huge baseball family. His son plays for the Arsenal. They're doing a baseball stadium tour. You can get a hold of Ryan he specializes in retirement planning, estate planning, and is a certified financial planner. Love this guy. Go support them. Appreciate you. We are also brought to you by Cardinal Cleaning. They can be reached at cardinalcleaningonline.com and 217-679-6567. The owner-operator, Adam Springer, local baseball dude, family friend, stand out at Chatham Glenwood in the mid-'90s. Also had a stellar career at Rend Lake and Kentucky Wesleyan. Cardinal Cleaning can take care of any cleaning needs you have. Home, business, restaurant, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. Whatever you need, they can take care of you. Get a hold of Cardinal Cleaning. They'll do the rest. We are also brought to you by Matt Brewer. Matt is an attorney here in town at the law offices of Stephen Kelly. Matt exclusively practices in the areas of personal injury and workers' compensation. He can be reached at 217-544-8000 or mbrewer@stephenkelly.com. I loved competing against this guy growing up. He was an SHG grad, 2002, stud in football and baseball, went on to star for Dan Callahan at SIU Carbondale, and then had a one-year career pitching in the Diamondbacks organization. I ran into this guy the other day. He looks like he could still lace him up. We appreciate you, Matt. We are also brought to you by Sitco Chiropractic. They can be reached at 217-525-2035 and sitcochiropractic.com. They offer chiropractic care, corrective exercises, lifestyle advice, nutritional counseling, spinal and postural screenings. They are located at 205 North Grand Avenue. Love the Sitco family. From the dad, Steven, to Kyle and Casey, I grew up with them. Their brother, Tyler, was a big-time baseball player at SHG and SCI. There's a reason they have over 70 ratings on Google, and they're all 5.0. These guys are great. I went to them a few years back for some back issues I was having. They'll fix you right up. Go see Sitco Chiropractic. We are also brought to you by Washco Strength and Speed, located at 3604 North Peoria Road. There's also a second location in Jacksonville. Jared can be reached at 217-899-3233. I do not think there is a better place to take your youth athlete, specifically a baseball or softball player, than Washco Strength and Speed. Jared was an SHG grad. He went to ISU. He pitched at SCI. He has his certified strength and conditioning specialist, which is the top certification you can get in the game. He is on it with his programming. He stays on new modalities and training methods. He offers summer camps, team training, group training, arm care, velocity work. The proof is really in the pudding when it comes to Jared. All of his athletes get stronger, they get faster, they get more explosive. They're less injury prone. He's cranking out athletes to college. If you really care about your athlete and you want to invest in them, send them to Washco Strength and Speed. Okay, we're back. Part 2, post-game spread here with the Crookster, Casey Erickson. Man, part 1 went so dang good. We're going to bop around here a little bit on a couple things before we really get back into it. We kind of ended right at his junior year when he kind of started dominating, but it's been cool kind of since we left off the last one. The craziest thing, I ran into Brian Pinkstaff at a kid's thing. I hadn't seen him in 20 years. We tell a couple Pinky stories, and then all of a sudden Pinky shows up in my life. Crazy. Yeah. A day after that, I see your brother Corey at Walmart. I dap him up, give him a big hug. Yeah. Awesome. Let's see. Kim Worth has gotten in touch with me. She's our number one fan. Yeah. Kimbo always gives me her thoughts on the show and how it went. She loved it. Here's her quote. Casey is the best one overall who had knowledge of the game, the reality of his future, and hands down his confidence screams complete knowledge of reality. I totally relate to how he thinks. So,
that was nice.
Nice to have Kim Worth in your corner. I'm a huge Kim Worth fan. She always kicks me your stuff. I wanted to start off kind of funny here. I want to talk about some Seinfeld with you. I know you're a big Seinfeld guy.
Absolutely.
When I first learned you were a Seinfeld fan, I figured we would get along because I'm a big Seinfeld fan as well. I want to share a little short story about why. When I was at Murray State, our strength coach was named Justin Cecil, really bright guy. He was a huge Seinfeld guy. He had a quote that I always go to. We had a catcher on our team named Jason Payton. He had a heart murm, so we called him Big Murm. So Big Murm instead of like Big Perm.
Yeah.
Big Murm was like, I don't get Seinfeld. It doesn't make sense to me. And he said something like, well, Seinfeld is for smart people, Big Murm. So if you don't get it, I don't know what to tell you. So, all right, Case, who's your favorite character on Seinfeld?
It's got to be Costanza, George Costanza, and followed by his dad Frank.
Yeah.
Those two to me are the funniest of the group, and of course Jerry's funny too. But
yeah,
those two are just they crack me up, man.
And so did you grow up watching Seinfeld? Because it kind of ended when I remember trying to get into Seinfeld when I was like young, and it was kind of over my head a little bit, and then I kind of came back to it more in like college, adult, and I was like, I really get it now.
Yeah, I was watching like Saved by the Bell when I was young, like watching watching that show.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Saved by the Bell raised me in some ways.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I don't know when I got into Seinfeld, but I got a few buddies that are into it as well, and I mean, we can just send each other quote after quote and scene after scene. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, but
it's the best. I can always go back and just roll through it. Such great episodes, such great writing, so funny.
Yes.
Huge Seinfeld fan myself.
Yeah, the secondary characters, what do they call those? But just not the main guys, but all the secondary characters, they're hysterical.
Yeah, they come in and out.
Oh my gosh, they're hysterical, dude. That's what makes it great, I think, is all those extras, man.
Like would you like the Soup Nazi, or are you talking about like reoccurring?
Like Soup Nazi, Putty, their high school
kind of people.
Their high school coach,
Newman.
the librarian, Newman. I mean, there's just hilarious casts in that show.
Yep, I love it. Before we move on, I had like one funny thing. So I first listened to you on the Derek Paris podcast, The Download. Shout out to Derek Paris at 1450. He's doing an amazing job.
DP's a man.
He's like the next Rupert, I think, basically. He's doing a phenomenal job. He's been very helpful to us, kind of cranking out the post-game spread stuff. So shout out to him. He did a great job on his podcast, which is shorter. I already know the answer to this question. One of your favorite baseball movies of all time is Field of Dreams, yeah?
True.
So I had a funny thing, and this is just humor me, and this is how my mind works. Kind of the main thing of Field of Dreams, it comes down to this scene where he gets to play catch with his dad, right?
Right.
And like that makes some people cry, and like he wants to have a catch with his dad, and like, man, you've got this relationship with your dad that's very special, bonded in baseball, same as me. That always gets me.
Yeah.
I got to laughing thinking back to like some Bobby clips and quotes, and if Casey Erickson is in Field of Dreams, if you're Kevin Costner, and your dad is the dad was Ray Kinsella. Can't remember the dad. If he comes out and you guys are playing catch, even as a ghost, does your dad make you chase the ball if you throw it past him?
Probably.
It's Ghost Bobby saying, "I'm not chasing anything."
Yeah. Yeah, he'd probably make me go get it. Yeah, unless it went in the cornfield, then he might have been like, "Oh, I'll get that one."
Have you been?
I have not, man. I have not. I watched the game. Was it early spring? Was a White Sox play there? So. I think Tim Anderson hit like a walk-off or something, and definitely enjoy watching that game and just seeing that atmosphere and that on that property, and it's just really cool that they're doing that out there.
Take your kids sometime if you ever get a chance. It's not
I'd like
far away.
Yeah,
really cool experience. I've been a few times. It's awesome for the kids.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep. All right, man. You ready to get back into it?
Sure.
All right, buddy. So we're back into this junior year here, and I was a year older than Crook here, and this is when I felt like he really kind of took off. And a lot of your friends have kind of said similar things. This is when they really were like, okay, Crook's like separating himself. Jim Rupert said it. This is when you kind of separated yourself from everyone else, and it was kind of the Crook show. Yeah. Not that everyone else wasn't a solid baseball player as well, but let's say this is the year you guys got 4th place in state. This is the year of the famous Crook game. Everyone, seriously, every single person I talked to in here mentioned the Crook game. So we're getting to that here.
I had one good game, man.
88 innings as a pitcher, 131 Ks, 9 walks, which is just like blows my mind. 14-0, 1.03 ERA, batted 386 with 7 dings. Can you take us through this year? Just like what you remember, anything that fun that stands out, just what it was like for you.
oh man, it was a really good year of baseball for our team.
Yeah.
Those stats sound good, but you know how it is, man. As a pitcher, you got to have a good defense, and I had a really good defense.
You guys did, man.
Good catcher, Jimmy Clayton, good defense.
Did Jimmy switched over to catcher at this point?
Yeah, Jimmy caught me most time. Pinkstaff caught me a little bit too.
Yep.
But once I think Jimmy had some knee injury, I believe. So they started to DH him a little bit to get him in that role, just to get him from behind the plate. Yeah. But yeah, Jimmy caught me a lot, man. Him and I worked well together, and he kind of knew what I was going to throw, so there wasn't much shaking off.
Right.
We were on the same page. But yeah, really, just a really good fundamental group that we've always been. But now it was kind of like, hey, we're juniors now. It's time to make some noise and to put our mark in the history books here. And
I mean, was that kind of the thought before the season started, like state is the goal? Or
well, I think conference is always the first goal for us. It's like, hey, man, we want to beat everybody in this area first, and when we get to the postseason, we get to the playoffs, we'll now we'll change our mindset and try to go get a championship. But I don't know how many games we won that year. I can't remember what our record was, but I don't think we lost.
I don't have it actually.
I think we only lost like 2. I think we were like 33 or 34-2.
Yeah, you guys were solid.
Probably Coach Mumi knows exactly how many games because he's got a memory like, it's just unreal.
Can you remember like some of the guys that were like everyday starters, the starting 9-ish?
Yeah,
it was really contributed.
Yeah, I mean it was basically the same team that I was playing with in the summer, man. It was the same group.
Yeah. We've already done a Diamond Kings roll call, so I'll just save you. Just listen to episode 1.
Yeah, it was the same group, but we were just everybody was together at the varsity level, and we're all juniors, and it's like, all right, it's time to do this thing,
right?
But. And we got into the postseason, and it's not like we just rolled through the competition. We had a couple comeback games, to get where we wanted to go, and then, like the state tournament back then, there was 8 teams that got there instead of 4. So it was a different game there. You had to go win 3.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience, man. We had a lot of fun. We played a lot of good baseball. Made a lot of good memories.
Hell yeah.
And we enjoyed the heck out of it.
If I can remember, so I guess I've said it before, I was a year ahead of you. I remember your stuff being, if I remember right, being like you were kind of an upper 80 guy.
Yeah.
Had some movement, had some run, could touch low 90 if you had to. Like I already said, would drop angles, would mess with people. Could bury your curve, could throw it for strike. Would you say that's pretty accurate, kind of your stuff at this point?
Yeah, I was, junior year, definitely upper 80s, definitely 86 to 89, somewhere in that spread, and definitely had natural movement on the ball, arm side run.
Were you trying to do that, or that just kind of natural?
No, that's my, a 3/4 arm slot, and just had natural run to the ball, and I like pitching inside. And that's kind of rare in high school. Most kids don't like going inside; they want to pitch away. And
was that something taught to you, or that just like you just liked it? You eventually got a feel for it.
No, I mean I enjoyed it. Yeah. I liked when guys got on the plate. Yeah. That tells me that you want me to throw the ball in the outer half. Yeah. Right, to get to it. Awesome. So I come in. I look at that window underneath the elbow and your knees, and I just try to throw it in there and tie you up.
That's awesome, dude. I was telling people that have not listened to the part 1 yet. I was like, this is high level baseball conversation. Like, you got to listen to this. And like, it's falling in line with that right there. We're going to eventually, I have a question that I kind of put in our Q&A at the end that I want to really kind of delve into, like your thought process as a pitcher. When we get there, I don't want to like derail us too much, but just like how you would, like, I guess that was something like that. Like when you saw a batter get in, if he's close, and you're like, okay, this is how I'm going to attack him, versus it would be a different plan if he was a little more off the plate. Sure. Right, depending on what kind of a hitter they are. Yeah. That's the fascinating good stuff.
A lot of mind games in baseball, man.
Dude. Yeah,
chess match.
It is a chess match. It is, man. I love that. Now you were also involved. Was it in the area code games? Was it around this time?
Yeah, I got invited to area code games out in California.
Can you tell everyone what that is exactly?
For people who don't know what it is, it's pretty comparable now to like a showcase.
But at the time, it was a very big deal to get invited.
It is. It's an invite only.
Yeah.
For juniors.
Yeah.
And it's not a showcase where a bunch of colleges, and I'm sure, I don't know for sure. I don't know how many college scouts were there. I don't know what college scouts. I know there was a lot of professional scouts there.
Yeah.
So it's an invite thing, and you go out and you're there. We were there in Huntington Beach for I think 3 days. I threw 2 different days. I threw like the first day and the third day. Just one appearance, 1 inning, and 300 radar guns in the stands.
Yeah.
You spoke with Parker Detmers.
Yeah. He did the same thing.
Oh yeah. He did it.
That kind of a caliber of player.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Was that a good experience for you? Did you feel like it was worth it? I mean, did anything come of it, or?
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
helpful?
I'm sure something came of it. Nothing directly.
Just like getting exposure.
Yeah, it's an exposure thing, and obviously it's an invite thing, so they know who you are already.
Sure.
They're getting a chance to see all these guys at not one facility, but one area.
Yeah.
Basically, because there's multiple fields that were down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it was one appearance, one inning, 1 day, and then 1 inning the 2 days after. I did well. I think it was my first outing. It was a 1-2-3 inning, and this dude hits a sky fly ball between myself and the catcher.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a big league pop up, and I'm kind of looking around like, hey, anybody else want to take this? Or are you going to make the pitcher catch it? No, they made me catch it.
Really?
So I did.
Well,
I just remember catching that fly ball.
Hey,
yeah,
catching skills come into play.
I ain't scared of a fly ball.
No,
Yeah. So nobody else wanted it. I'm like, I'll take it.
That sounds like you. I love it, dude. Man, in that I know it. I barely know you. I mean, I just we essentially had our real first conversation this last part 1, and you know what? It's multiple people have texted me and been like, it sounded like old friends talking, and that is like exactly what I wanted. And I thought we shared a quick laugh right away. And I felt like we were rolling. Like I felt like I was talking to an old buddy. So thank you for being so cool and kind of.
Well, we got a lot in common, man. We grew up in the same place.
Absolutely, yeah.
We participate in multiple sports, competing against each other.
For sure.
We both like Seinfeld.
That's the dang truth.
That's all it takes. Right?
The dang truth. So this junior year, what kind of attention were you attracting school wise, pro scout wise? What was going on?
A lot of letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting a lot of letters, getting some, scouts calling.
What can you name some of those schools?
Miami.
Like her Miami Hurricanes?
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, like Miami, Texas Tech, Texas. I mean, yeah. All the big ones, man.
Serious schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. SEC schools.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And did you go on any visits?
Didn't go on any visits. Did I go on my visits junior year? Maybe it was after my junior year. I decided on going a few visits, but the only ones I went to was SIU, ISU, and Illinois. Those were the 3 places that I visited. Just
really?
Local, yeah.
No, why did you not give any consideration to these like colleges, these SEC schools, or anything like that?
Well, to be honest, man, I was a little intimidated by a 4-year school because I knew that I couldn't get drafted till after my junior year.
Yeah.
And I always had that feeling or that thought, like, dude, what if I get hurt? Like, what if I blow my arm out my sophomore year and I never get the chance to play
Billy
play?
Clayton.
You just and I'm like, man,
Billy Clayton. I say it every
dude.
podcast.
Yeah.
Man.
Billy Clayton was a
Exactly
load.
that.
He was a load, and he had 3 surgeries.
Yeah.
And he's a guy who got robbed of his future because because of that.
Had a absolutely pro arm. Was throwing mid-90s fuzz.
Yeah.
In the late 90s here, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And went in the 10th round and decided to go to Carbondale, and his arm just fell apart, and he never got a chance to bring it back.
Yeah. And guess what? I saw that. He was ahead of me.
You learned it.
So I learned it from that. And I'm like, man,
a lot of people did.
As a pitcher, it's a little bit different, I think.
Sure.
And you're just like, man, I might not. I don't know how long I got with this arm.
Yeah.
And back, I think.
Were you a guy that had arm problems?
No, I didn't. I didn't have arm problems in high school. Tendonitis and stuff. Pretty common.
Right.
But I think surgery is much more common these days, and people are more confident in the recovery.
Right. For sure.
20 plus years ago, it felt like you get Tommy John, like you might not come back.
Right.
And if you tear your rotator cuff, you're probably not coming back.
Yeah, so I always had that in the back of my mind, just like, man, what if I can't make it to my junior if I get hurt?
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, if I don't get drafted high enough at a high school, let me see what this JUCO's about. Because I know I can go after the freshman year, I can get drafted. One more year,
Right.
So that's what I did. That's what I chose to do.
But you did initially commit to U of I.
I did.
Yeah.
I did commit to U of I.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
It was Itch Jones, right?
Itchy Jones.
Itchy.
Yep.
Legendary Itchy. Yeah.
Yep.
And Corey had committed there out of high school as well, right?
Yeah.
Did that play into that at all? Like you?
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. Like I told you, he was my idol, and kind of wanted to follow in his footsteps. And he got drafted in the 4th round, so a little bit different story. He was a high pick. I thought it'd be cool. I don't know. I'd be curious to get his perspective and think it. Wonder if he wished he would have played at a major university. And went that route. Yeah. But I don't know. You have to ask him that.
I will, because the Corey Erickson episode's coming up. It's a couple down the road. I'm pumped for it.
Yeah.
Interesting. So at one point, you did think that you were going to go to U of I, or at least you signed the papers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was committed. They put an article in their paper up there and said that we landed one of the top pitchers in the state or whatever. And, it was not. I ended up calling Itchy Jones and told him that I had changed my mind. And
your dad said that. He was really high on you for that. Doing as an 18-year-old. That's tough.
It was.
It's tough to make that call.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't force. My parents didn't force me to do it, but they were like, hey, it's time to man up. You're making a decision. You need to call.
I heard Itchy wasn't super thrilled about it.
No, he wasn't happy.
Wasn't the best conversation.
No.
I don't remember exactly.
I don't remember exactly how it goes. I know he said that I would regret it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember exactly how long it was or what exactly he said. But
yeah.
It was a tough conversation for a young kid,
Sure.
But had to be done. It's the decision I wanted to make, and I went through with it. So.
Yeah, we are bouncing. So we're going to back up a little bit. We got to get to the Casey game. Do you have any thoughts on? Do you want to say anything about the Casey game, or do you like me to play some clips and you play off that?
Yeah, you can play some clips.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Literally every single person talked about this. I'm really pumped to share this with you guys. All right, let's start off with B. Roop Casey game. That'd be Brad.
Probably my favorite moment as a player. Our junior year in the regional championship game, we were losing 2-0 to Bloomington I think it was Bloomington, in the regional championship game, and they're making every play. And Casey's pitching. He gave up 2 runs early. We get to the bottom of we're the home team. We get to the bottom of the 6th inning. We're doing nothing all game. We get 2 on. Casey hits a 3-run homer. We go up 3-2. He goes out in the bottom. He goes out in the 7th and gets 3 outs. And just like that, from being down, our whole team was down. And then next thing you know, Casey hits a 3-run homer, gets 3 outs, and we just won the game. It happened so quickly. It's kind of hard to take over a game in baseball, but, that was just the definition of taking over a game. Put it in his own hands, and it was almost like we were waiting for it to happen, and it did. That's just kind of the player he was. He just didn't have to say much, went up there, game on the line, 3-run homer, boom, goes out and pitches, not even fired up. Just goes out there, boom, 3 outs, we win the game, and move on.
While we're on Brad Rupert, I'm going to play another one just called Casey Being a Gamer, unless you have anything you want to add right now. All right. Casey Being a Gamer.
Just a gamer. And that's something you can't teach. You either have it or you don't.
Yep.
At the biggest moments when you can keep your heart rate down and you can focus and concentrate and come up big. Yeah. I don't have that instinct. I've never had it. It's some guys do, some guys don't, and he's got it. And just that instinct and just that bulldog mentality. He wanted the ball. He always wanted the ball. If we were down, if we were up, he wanted the ball. He felt comfortable with the ball in his hand, and we did too. And it's a great thing to have a guy like that, where when the game's on the line, that's the person that you want up, and that's the person that 9 times out of 10 delivered. It's that Michael Jordan instinct. It's confidence in yourself. It's confidence in your ability. It's the ability to stay poised and not let the moment get the best of you. And,
100%.
like I said, he could do it, and he thrived in that atmosphere and loved it.
Great stuff from
Bones.
Yeah, B-Roop here. All right, lastly, the legendary Coach Moomey on the Casey game, and then we're going to move forward.
Had one of those games where he didn't have his best stuff against Bloomington in the sectional championship game at Wesleyan, and was able to hold him to 2 runs. We just couldn't get him anything. We were kind of marred in a team slump at the time, but got a couple on, and he hit one out in the bottom of the 6th to win the game 3-2. And it's just kind of typical of Casey. The ball wasn't flying at Wesleyan. It's kind of one of those places where long fly balls go to die, but he found a way to get it out of there, and it just always his best in the best situations, or the biggest situations, and
there we go. Is this Casey game as memorable for you as it is for all these guys you played with?
Yeah, it's definitely one that I don't forget. You know, and I actually heard it on the radio. They were doing some. I think it was Tim. It was Schweitzer, and I don't know if Roop was in there with them, but they were doing some playbacks of some older games.
Really?
And with some local teams, And I just happened to be in my car, and 1450s, always on in my car, and I all of a sudden I'm like, we're coming up with the Glenwood Bloomington sectional championship game in 2003, and I'm like, oh, that's our game.
I know that game.
I know that game. So I did get to relive it a little bit because I definitely tuned in and listened to it. It was cool to listen.
The play-by-play of it.
Yeah,
awesome.
It was cool to listen to the commentators and hear the crowd get excited about it. And, it was a great moment for our team, man.
Does hearing something like that, can you almost go back and get the feeling of that? What it felt like to be there? I don't know. I get stuff like that sometimes.
I don't remember. As far as the pitching of that game, and like Coach Moomey said, I know I didn't have my best stuff, and I think we botched a play that cost us a run, so it could have been 1-0, which, for our team, if we're giving up 1, we should, we're expecting to win. But we just, for some reason, couldn't get anything across the plate, couldn't get anything going, and I just remember, 2 guys on, and I'm on deck, and here comes the coach to pull the pitcher.
Yeah.
So they pull him. Guy starts warming up, and I'm like, I just thought in my head, I was like, this is where we're gonna get him. We're gonna make our move right here. I didn't think I was gonna go deep. I wasn't trying to go deep. Just trying to hit the ball hard.
Yeah.
And you've probably had this, one of those swings. Sometimes you hit home runs and you hit them so
pure.
Yeah. You just center the baseball so well that it literally doesn't feel like anything.
Like a dry swing almost.
And they didn't have a windscreen up or anything, so it was just a chain link fence out there. And I see the ball going, and I'm like, it's got a chance,
Yeah.
But I got to get on my horse because I'm slow. And I'm like, I might get thrown out at second if this doesn't go out. But it got over the fence, and I still didn't realize it right away until I saw the umpire signaling, because I thought it might have short hopped the fence because no windscreen or anything. But like Brad said, it happened so quick. It's like we're down, we're pressing. We're like, man, we're supposed to go to state this year.
Yeah.
And like Coach Mooney said, it's a sectional championship game, so big game, and luckily they made a pitching change, and and they brought the right guy in that we needed, and I put a good swing on it. So,
did around this time when you started kind of separating yourself some, did your boys treat you the same? Was there any change in how that dynamic or anything?
No, they
probably
held you down. They almost gave me more of a harder time. Gave me more crap.
I'm you were already a humble guy. They probably just kept you even more.
Yeah. Well, I told you before, man. We competed with each other pretty hard.
Yeah.
We were ruthless with
tough on each other.
Yes.
Those kind of boys.
Yeah.
You'll say anything
like
to
brothers,
each other.
like a brother would.
Right.
That's just what it was.
Yeah.
Cool. I was talking to Jimmy Clayton earlier today because a good friend of ours, father passed away, and we were talking a little bit about the first podcast of the part 1, and he's he's like, you remember when guys had 2 strikes, and they were going, they come up to bat for the 3rd time, and they if they strike out again, they get the hat trick. we're all in the dugout shaking our hats and, doing like a chant, like, oh. And
like
then if he strikes out, we're throwing our hands, like we're the opposing team. Like I said, man, we competed with ourselves.
You were razzing your own teammates.
We were razzing our own teammates to perform better.
Yeah, I guess it worked for you guys. Like it was a dynamic that raised everyone's.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
That's cool, man. I do still think it's so special that you guys were able to play 700 plus games together. That's just so unique. No one gets that experience anymore. And
no, it's very uncommon.
Brothers too. Like, that's what you said, right? Brothers.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. We're gonna circle back to the how you ended up at SCI because it's kind of fascinating. Tor had some great insight on that. But we'll get to your senior year. Did you commit during your junior year to U of I? Do you remember?
No, I don't think it was till my senior year I committed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was senior year.
But in the back of your head, this whole time, are you like, I really want to be drafted?
Absolutely.
That's what it was.
Yeah. My brother went out of high school. I was like, I want to go out of high school.
I want to go to high school.
I'm ready for professional baseball.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Absolutely destroyed his senior year. 427 average, 8 bombs, led the CS8 in home runs, 72 innings pitched, 105 Ks, 11-0, 1.16 ERA. What was the senior year like for you? I mean, this would have been a little different. I mean, you've got the draft coming up. You're playing for that. You're already locked in for college-wise, so at least that's not something you're really having to worry about. Or did you sign do you remember when you signed?
Yeah, I didn't sign. I wasn't committed before the season or anything.
Oh, okay. So
No.
it was not a weight off your shoulder. It was
No.
still up in the air.
Yeah, it was still up in the air.
And was that on purpose, or what was the thought behind that?
I don't know. I think so. I wanted to see, it's another year. Maybe I'm throwing 2 or 3, 4 miles an hour harder. Maybe I get different looks. Maybe I get a better offer.
Yeah.
I just didn't commit. And it was, I don't know. I don't know exactly why I waited, but that's what I did.
Yeah. At this point, were you, I don't know, like what was your process? Were you working out? Were you lifting weights? Were you like,
oh yeah. Well, I was in football in the fall.
Yeah.
To start the school year off my senior year. So we're hitting the weights in the early bird at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, banging.
Yeah. And then once football was over, I took a break from throwing. Just took a month off, give my shoulder a rest, and then just got back into a winter workout, type of deal, and open gym at the high school, and started my bullpens in January. And
do you think throwing a football was beneficial for your arm strength? I always felt like personally,
100%,
humongous.
Oh, it's
so much easier on your arm too, right?
Absolutely,
right. Like
I never felt sore after throwing.
I feel like I could throw 100 times or 200 times a football and like really let some balls go and never be sore the next day. But if I threw 6 innings, 100 and something pitches, like I was going to be hanging.
Yeah, for a couple days.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know what's so unnatural about pitching compared to someone throwing a football. I mean, I know it's a little shorter of an arm motion, but it's a heavier ball.
And your dad actually said that you are actually more capable now, even with your screwed up shoulder, of throwing a football. It's easier for you than a baseball.
Yeah, because I just don't have that. I don't have to get that extension down and back like you would with a baseball. With a football, I can just go right from the ear and just and throw. So
okay. What else do you remember about this? What was memorable that stands out about the senior year for you? This is you guys' last go round essentially as this, group. Everyone's going to split off.
Hungrier than ever.
Yeah.
We knew it was our last last dance, so to speak. And we we definitely had a goal to win the conference. We ended up sweeping the conference junior and senior year.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was 14 games in the conference back then. I think so. We 28-0 in the conference 2 years.
Wow.
Played some really good competition our senior year. And wanted to get back to the state series and get the job done. Unfortunately we didn't. We got bounced.
Right.
We played really good baseball. We were bigger, stronger, faster, more dominant.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't as healthy as we were our junior year. We lost. Brad had arm surgery. His arm.
Is that when he was UCL? Yeah, TJ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Travis Myers was banged up.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that we talked about Travis Meyer in part 1. I wanted to get to that. I want to highlight guys like that maybe not everyone knows that name, but like he was a dude. He was an absolute stud. And I'm just really happy that we gave him that respect. I hope he listens. I don't know. I haven't heard much from these Diamond King dudes. So like, are they listening? Like, no one's letting me know. Like, hey, I'd like to know if you guys like it too. Like,
Travis is down in Florida, man.
Yeah.
He's probably at a Buccaneers game or something.
Man, yeah, it's cool.
He's living a good life down there.
Yeah, he's talking about he's like opened some different businesses, kind of all revolving around scuba and stuff like that, and doing well for himself. And I love hearing stuff like that.
He's a smart guy, and he's made some good decisions, and he's got some good things going.
I love hearing people just like go off the beaten path. Like that's what he wanted to do, and he did it. Like,
Yeah, and like you said, man, Travis was injury prone like yourself.
Yeah,
and he was a really good ball player, man.
Absolutely,
he was a really good pitcher, and he swung the bat well and played a good outfield, and he was a good pitcher. He was a good player.
You talked, we've kind of both touched on this being kind of the end of like the actual Diamond King group, the core of them. What was that like when like that last game when you guys got bounced? Yeah. And there's a special memory kind of after the game. We already talked about it a little bit, but well, I mean, what was that? What was there a heaviness to that?
Yeah,
or what was
very emotional.
Yeah.
It was very emotional. Tough for our group to end on our home field. Yeah. We hosted sectionals that year, and
did everyone get like popcorn in their eyes like the Titanic movie?
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. Oh, definitely, man. We were definitely, like I said, we were emotional. I mean, it sucked. It was a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
It was one of those games where no matter what you did, they made the play. We made some loud outs, just hit balls right at guys, and you know how that is, man. You do that early in a ball game. And you immediately start tightening up and pressing and trying to do more than you should, and that's what happened to us, and we played down to the last out. I mean, there was runners in scoring position to tie the game, and Travis Heckenkamp hit a line drive to right field, and the right fielder came in and dove and caught the ball at the end of the game. Tough way to go out our senior year. We definitely probably predicted to go all the way and win it all, and we laid an egg.
Yeah. I was really touched by this when Coach Mooney talked to me about this. It just like so goes in line with this like Diamond Kings, like how close you guys were. Whereas after the game ended, I got a clip I'm going to play here, but I just to kind of paraphrase it, you guys played Indian ball because you wanted to play some more ball together. Like it wasn't over.
Yeah.
Man, that like. I don't want to tear up right now. I'm just going to play this clip and not get popcorn in my eyes.
Popcorn.
But anyway, we mess up a bump play early in that game. They give them a 5-run inning. We come back. And I think we ended up losing the game 6-5. Just a heartbreaker. We had the tying run at third, winning run at second when the game ended. Travis Heckenkamp hit just a sinking line drive to right field, and the kid made a miraculous diving catch to end the game. And kids were just heartbroken. All of a sudden it was their last game on that field that they played so many games on, and tried to talk to them and make them feel better after the game, but it didn't work. I'm getting my stuff together to leave, to walk out of the park, and those kids, they grabbed a bucket of balls somewhere, and they were out on the field playing after the game.
Man.
They just couldn't – they didn't want to say it was the end. They didn't want to leave, that being their last moments. They went out and started – I don't know if they were playing Indian ball or what they were doing. As I walked away, kind of put a tear in my eyes, but at the same time, they were, within – a half hour after that game was over, they were back out playing baseball and having fun.
Whose idea was it to go back out there?
Man, I don't know.
What a great idea, though.
I don't know. Yeah, like Coach Mooney said, we didn't think it was going to be over like that. Yeah. So it was tough on us.
That that year, did you guys play together as the Diamond Kings after that during the summer? Or was that?
No, that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
What did you do that summer then?
You know what? I don't remember. Maybe we did play together. I don't recall. I really don't, man. I'm like missing a few months of my life, I know, but I really couldn't tell you. I really don't remember if
All right, we'll try to find some clarification on that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Because that is like a weird time because, you know, some guys are, if you're not going on and playing college baseball, kind of what's the point of putting in that kind of a, 70-game summer, that kind of a thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, who knows?
I can't remember.
Well,
I'll have to ask my old man about that.
It's okay. Really touching hearing that from Coach Mooney. I love that's a great way to kind of cap your high school career here. One thing you didn't really touch on was how did you deal with all those pro scouts being there, radar guns on you every start? I mean, did you feel that pressure at all? Did you feel prepared for that? What?
It's hard not to recognize that they're there.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm warming up in the bullpen. There's 10 of them standing behind our catcher.
Mm-hmm.
But I embraced it. This is what I wanted. You know, I wanted scouts to come watch me and get drafted. So it didn't scare me away. I kind of looked forward to, you know, getting off the bus if we were on the road or showing up to the park and kind of looking around like, you know, any cross checkers here today?
Yeah, right.
You know, any big wigs here today? But yeah, I mean, obviously I know they're there. Obviously they want to see the radar gun light up, you know. So I'm sure it changed my changed my mindset a little bit here and there. But nothing ever took away from me trying to win a ball game. You know, I never let it affect me that deeply.
Well, obviously your stats and records say that for sure. I don't think you were too bothered by it, but I just wondered, like, what is that experience like? Because not everyone gets to go through that. You know, really being the focal point and really being, you know, a lot of pressure on you. There's money on the line. You know, it's 24th round pick is different than 5th round pick. You know, so
I think it also, you know, it puts a little higher expectation on the team as a whole, you know, and maybe even gives other kids maybe some hope, like, hey man, if I play really well today, you know, they might remember my name.
That's the damn truth.
You know, and so it was a little exposure for not just me but everybody. I mean, especially if I'm starting and I'm going 7 innings. I mean, those guys are going to stay for 6-7 innings.
That essentially is what happened with Jay Crawford. You know, everyone came for the Jason Worth show, and just so happened that Jay Crawford was shoving, and they're like, well, let's see if this guy can play some pro ball. You know,
you wonder how much that happens.
Absolutely.
You know, how many guys get picked in the draft or signed as free agents?
So Justin Knadler got seen because of Jason Worth as well. So they were coming to see. They were coming to see Jason, and they're like, "Oh, Justin's got cannon on him. They can hit some tanks." And it's cool how that kind of stuff happens. Like it gets shine. Other people get looks in other ways as well.
Yeah, and I also got to see the you know, and even further into that as a coach this year with Parker.
Yeah,
and I got to
had some studs as a coach
emails and phone calls and text messages.
Yeah, what's that like dealing with that?
I really enjoyed dealing with it. I hope I have a prospect, you know, on my team every year. You know, I enjoyed it. I look forward to checking my email every morning to see who got a hold of, you know, who reached out, what information they needed from me, you know. And Parker did his part as well in that communication with the scouts. And, you know, nowadays they have like these websites where you can put your start out there, when you're starting, where it's at.
So they're not calling you like, when's you doing it? When's you doing it? When's you doing it?
Yeah, they put it out there, and then all the scouts can go to that and see it and stuff. And so it's a little different, you know. And Coach Mooney, you know, when with Worth and myself and Jay and you know, he had to probably take a lot of phone calls, you know, and you know, he's probably thinking, God, leave me alone, man. You know, let me coach, you know. But again, it's a good problem to deal with.
It's a good problem to have.
I don't think he minded either.
Right, man, that was cool. I think this. So we're moving on to SCI now, or no, we're not moving there yet. Excuse me. We gotta go to the draft, my man.
Okay.
Tell us about the draft. You know, I didn't even get this from your dad. It was an article that I read about you, basically saying that, you know, you guys were being told higher than you ended up going. You know, as you know, you ended up going in the 25th round, but was hearing maybe around 10th, maybe even a little earlier, like, you know, 8 to 12.
Yeah, well, the 25th round was out of high school. That was
right.
That was when I got drafted out of high school. I think we heard like 12 to 15.
Okay.
You know, something like that. And honestly, when those rounds passed, I was a pretty, you know.
This article I read said you were devastated.
I was upset. I was a little pissed, you know,
Sure.
and you know, didn't feel cheated, but and not even lied to, but just just quite didn't understand,
Right.
you know, why. And I'm not saying I would have signed if it would have been in the 15th round or not. I don't know what I would have done, but yeah, I thought I was going to get picked higher. Ended up sliding to the 25th round, and it was an obvious choice. Hey, I'm going to school.
There was no thought.
No, I was like, give me another year.
Yeah.
Let me get, you know, little more into training, get my body better, arm better, come out and you know, hopefully get drafted after my freshman year.
This is when you pivot away from U of I to SCI. So you're thinking, all right, obviously. So if you don't know, you should know if you're listening to this podcast. But if you go Division I, you have to stay till after your junior year. So you have to stay 3 years there. If you go JUCO, you can be drafted after your first year, after your second year.
Correct.
So a lot of guys will, if they're trying to improve their drafts stature,
right.
they will go to JUCO.
Yep.
So that's what you decided to do. Was that a hard decision for you?
I don't know if it was a hard decision.
Yeah.
I think the decision was, all right, I'm not going to go far away. I'm going to stay here, stay in town, stay comfortable, and you know, either play for Bull or Tor. And I had known Tor a long time. I respected the hell out of Tor.
Sure.
And that was the direction that I chose. I was
Some
like,
of your teammates were already there. We're headed there.
A couple of them were already headed there. Yeah.
Yep. And your dad played at SCI back in the day.
Player coach.
Yeah.
Player coach. Yeah.
I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Yeah. He kind of started baseball there.
That's right.
He had to go. He had to. Yeah. He always tells me the story. He says he had to go to the nuns and ask permission from the nuns if he could start a baseball team. Granted.
That's great. Yeah, that's great.
So
but
there was a little bit of that too.
Okay.
You know, I'm like, hey, my dad went here. I'll go here.
Did either Tor or Bull at all try to recruit you?
Tor
basically said he didn't. What's the point? Why am I trying to recruit him?
Yeah, I think they thought there's no chance.
Right. So what's the point?
And then once I committed to U of I, they're like, okay,
there's really no chance.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, we called Tor and we're like, hey, we're gonna pivot here, and Casey wants to play for you. Go to JUCO and improve the draft stock and hopefully get drafted higher next year and go.
Yeah. I've got a great Tor clip right now on you coming to SCI. Signing, my man was out here signing letters of intent on car hoods.
That's right.
Here we go.
Some of his teammates that were coming to play for me was like, Casey might not be going to Illinois. He might want to be a Bulldog. And I'm like, well, I'm not talking to him until that takes place. And ultimately it took place, and I never forget. I signed his letter of intent, based off of his conversation with Coach Jones that he wasn't going to go there, on the hood of my Explorer at South Park underneath the streetlight. So
that's cool.
Kind of a unique. Yeah, there was no visit, there was no spiel, I don't even know if he knew what his scholarship was, but he was going to be a Bulldog and play with his buddies and play for Coach Torselli. So that was kind of a unique scenario.
So you didn't go on any visit there, nothing. Is that accurate?
No, I didn't go.
You were just like, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Coming, Tor.
Yep.
That's awesome. And, I loved talking with Tor, and I would love to shout this dude out. Let's shout this guy out. What a baseball lifer. I've never once heard anyone say a negative thing about Tor. Everyone that played for him is just like, I love this guy. Passionately. That's Tor true, is the man. I was so happy to see him catch on, at Lincoln Land when Benedictine kind of went under, and that guy should be in the game. I just think so highly of him. So shout out to Coach Tor, an absolute baseball dude in the area. You've touched so many lives.
Yeah, he truly has, man. Like you said, you don't hear anything bad said about him.
Never.
People call me and ask about pitching lessons and stuff, and I'm like, I don't do pitching lessons
anymore.
And,
yeah.
Well, who do you know? Who do you know who can teach my kids some stuff? And I mean, my first response is Coach Tor, because the guy just knows so much about the game.
Yeah.
And he's really good at connecting with not only college kids and high school kids, but younger kids too. He demands their attention, and they give it to him over and over and over. And he's once he gets that, he's able to, just share all his knowledge with them.
Yeah.
And the kids really enjoy him. The college players, guys that I coach here and that go to Lincoln Land and I talk to throughout the season and stuff, and they're the same way. Yeah. They're like, dude, I love Tor. And, Tor works so hard for you.
Yeah.
He puts in so much work. I mean, and he's always been like that. He's always been the hardest worker in the program.
I love that.
And he holds himself at such a high standard, and he demands perfection. And we all know in this game you don't get that, but you work for it. And he just he works extremely hard for you. He'll do anything you ask or need, and that's what the players are drawn to, and they respect him so much because of the work that he's putting in with them.
Yeah,
so he's as good as they come, man. That dude is a encyclopedia of baseball. I mean, he can draw out practice plan after practice plan, and they're phenomenal. They're just great drills. It's on the clock. We're constantly moving. It's impressive, man. It's really impressive.
Before we go on to some Tor quotes and more just about your time at SCI, we've got a lot of people know you as Crook. There is another nickname that you had at SCI. Do you remember it?
Mm-mm.
All right. Tor told me this clip is called Tor on Casey being full-time. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
His nickname was Full-Time. And the reason his nickname was Full-Time is because when he committed to go to SCI, he put in the paper, I'm going to go play for Springfield College, and I'm going to be a full-time student. And I'm like, not exactly the best words to use. So my brother Jim caught that, and from that point on, his nickname was Full-Time.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't believe I remember that. There's only one dude that calls me Full-Time, and it's his brother Jim.
Really?
Yeah.
Still keeps it going.
Jim was assistant coach there at SCI, and Jim was a big-time football player from what I hear, man.
Okay.
He was a stud, and he coached baseball, high school baseball, Griffin, and he was the nickname guru. He
always had nicknames.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna figure one out.
Slim had a really. He was like the glue. He was Tor was the bad cop, and maybe this guy was the good cop, and then he had Slim in the middle, kind of just mediating everything.
Yeah.
And he always had a good nickname for everybody, and I gave him one. He didn't have to think of one for me.
Can you think of a couple funny ones that you guys had? Anyone on the team had?
Oh,
that you can share.
The first one I can think of, it's probably not appropriate. I'll just say he gave Mark Clayton the name Trotter. He called Ryan McCurley Fester, Uncle Fester. Gosh, what else, man? Put me on the spot like this. It's hard to think of him, but he's got some unbelievable.
Yeah, I'll get what kind of guy you're saying.
Oh,
he's
hilarious.
All right, let's get through some Tor quotes here. He obviously glowed about you. I had so much fun talking with him. Casey is an awesome dude. Awesome dude. Born into the baseball DNA, knew the game in and out. When he got to me, he was highly recruited nationally. Could have gone almost anywhere he wanted to at a high school. Did everything I asked at SCI. Went to class. Did what he had to do. Earning that nickname Full-Time. He wanted to play with his friends. Heard rumors he was thinking of not going to U of I. I did not recruit him. I'm not stepping on anyone's toes. Had a lot of family love. Wanted to play with his buddies where his dad and uncle played. I just played a clip. People were congratulating me. This was funny for doing such a good job recruiting. They were like, "You're the best recruiter in the state, getting the #1 pitching prospect." And he just still laughs about that because he just said, it just fell in his lap. Like he didn't do anything. It's just okay.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed playing there, man.
Cool.
We had a great group, and
yeah, you did.
And we worked hard, and Tor, he pushed us to be better, and that's what I needed.
Man, there's a part of me. So we played against each other this time, Lincoln Land, SCI.
Mm-hmm.
When I loved battling you guys, a part of me can't help but think back and wish there was only one junior college team here. And, if we were all on the same team, I felt like, man, that would have been a filthy team because there was some talent on both sides. That would have been like a national championship type team, in my head at least.
I agree.
At least what I think. All right.
I agree.
Let's see. He knew the game when I got him. There wasn't much for me to do. So advanced for our level. Could do whatever he wanted with the ball. If one pitch wasn't working for him, he had 4 more. His command was incredible. He dominated. Mentally, he told himself he was better than everyone else. and you're going to have to beat me. And he said that like 10 times. So like Casey believed in his head that he was better than you. He was better than you. He was better than you. And that I love that. That is such like you like have to be in that pocket of belief as a baseball player, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of confidence involved in baseball.
Man, if you're doubting yourself, it's so hard.
It is.
It's so hard to keep succeeding. But just having that belief in yourself. I just loved hearing that. And I think I asked you in the last one, but is that something Bobby instilled in you, or just like success over time like builds that? Or
I don't know if he instilled it in me, but I think him and I are a lot alike. I mean, he's got the same kind of characteristics.
He wasn't like putting you to bed with like positive affirmations like you're the best. You're the best of all time.
No, that never happened.
Not that I'm doing that to my kid or anything.
I was never. Yeah, you put on a little radio. It's got a recording of you. You're the greatest of all time.
Okay.
No, my just getting back to that, like my dad never, blew me up as the greatest thing. He never said anything like that.
Okay.
Because you know what? He always knew that there's always going to be somebody better.
Yeah.
He always told me that too about, if just remember how big and, no matter how big and bad you think you are, there's always somebody bigger and better.
Sure.
And that kind of played onto the field too. Speaking
of, I've got it already circled in our notes, but I cut you off. My apologies. Last podcast when we did like three things, Bobby things. We ended it with, don't disrespect your mother, and you said there were more, and I kept going. We're gonna circle back to that because I want to hear all the Bobby things.
Okay.
All right. Casey believed in himself. We didn't do a great job scoring for him, so he said he regretted not having a ton of offense for you while you were there. If you played against him, you hated him because he was so good, how he carried himself, like he was better than you. But if you played with him, you loved him. A true team guy first. And from across the lines, I didn't hate you at all. You looked confident. You looked like you were doing your thing. It wasn't one of those like I can't stand this guy. It never felt like that to me. I didn't think you were that kind of a guy.
Well, I've been told I was arrogant and confident, and that's fine. I mean, I didn't take that as like a negative thing.
Yeah.
But I wasn't pimping home runs.
Yeah.
I wasn't pointing to the crowd, and I wasn't doing things like that. You
Right.
know, I might have struck you out and looked at you as you walked back to the dugout, or if you dug in the box too hard and called time, I might have thrown at you or something.
Yeah.
But that was just my style.
Yeah.
And arrogant, okay, confident, whatever you want to call it. It's just how I competed.
Yeah, you touched on it in the last podcast about being a different person when you step on the field, and I love that. Just flipping the switch. Blah, blah, blah. If you, let's see, touched by how upset you were when SCI had its last game, like you were upset that like was over. I've got a clip for it. We'll play it here in a sec.
Mm-hmm.
Freshman year, he played some third base, hit some of the highest, longest bombs you've ever seen. A long power swing, smooth defender. Said you cared about the team first. Let's see, won at every level. Casey was in charge of our pitch. Oh, this kind of circles back to when you were. I'm just going to say it because this is about your coaching when you eventually went on to be a pitching coach at Benedictine, and it said Casey was in charge of our pitchers. As he evolved, he got more and more responsibility, developed the pitchers, the programs, the mechanical work, video breakdown, etc. Was with me for 5 years. I really respected his opinions. He was ready to be a head coach when he left here. The guys loved playing for him, loved watching him evolve as a coach. That was super fun. So freshman year, like I said, we haven't gone over those. So freshman year, 48 innings pitched, 57 Ks, 3.37, 6-1 win-loss. What was this first year of college like for you? Kind of being on your own for the first time, and what do you remember about this year that stands out?
I remember a lot of growth, a lot of maturity that year. I was a draft and follow with the Cubs, which they don't even do anymore.
Right.
So they kind of had rights to me. I probably underperformed a little bit. Like Tor said, I don't know how good we were. We weren't great, but definitely didn't improve my draft stock that year. It took me another year. I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
We spring trip to.
You guys went to Arizona, didn't you?
We went to Arizona. I think both years actually. I get confused because when I was coaching, we started going to Florida a little bit too.
Okay.
But yeah, Arizona trip. So, fun time. And a lot of travel, got used to that because, obviously in high school you're not traveling that much. So
Right.
long bus rides, a lot more independence, right? You got to be, grow up a little bit. And,
Were there dorms or did you
handle
live
your
with?
business and just a duplex. I lived in a duplex with Travis Myers and
T. Myers.
Yeah, me and Myers duplexed up, and believe it or not, it was back in Indian Hills.
Was it really?
Yeah,
That's cool.
same street my uncle lived on.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Wait, like
for real?
That Roger was on?
Yeah, same street down the street. Yeah, I mean he wasn't living there at the time.
So the van was gone.
No, the van was there.
No,
the van was still there.
No,
yeah.
it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, may or may not have thrown.
Roger's gone. The van stays.
We may or may not have thrown a party or two at Roger's place. But we'll just leave that at that. But
sure.
Yeah, a lot of growth my freshman year. And when the Cubs decided not to draft me, that's when I really was like, all right, dude, what are you doing? You gotta start over.
Interesting.
And that's what I did. I went
you
back
felt like
to
what you were doing wasn't good enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the velo wasn't good enough.
Wasn't increasing.
It was still high school, 88, 89, 90. It wasn't enough, and so I knew that I needed to increase my velocity to get what I wanted.
And what did you do to do that?
I just, worked hard, put in the time.
Yeah.
Tor had the indoor weight room set up on campus, and we also had one out on the fairgrounds, and I just tried to live there, man.
Yeah.
I just tried to get faster, tried to get stronger. We didn't do like weighted balls and stuff back then.
Right.
I did small muscle workouts for my shoulders and internal, external rotation stuff and band work and leg training and eventually just put on some, just some more man muscle.
Sure.
It's just some more man meat and you want to edit that out? But knew what I needed to do, and I was just determined to do it. It was kind of like, hey, it's now or never, man. I gotta get this under control and catch the attention of these scouts.
So that was a wake up call for you.
It was, yeah. It was a little bit of wake up call, and I don't know that I did anything wrong or different, but it just wasn't. It wasn't. I think it was like, hey, this kid hasn't gotten better since his senior year in high school.
Yeah,
he's still the same,
similar.
dude.
Yeah.
And we're expecting
you were hoping for maybe a couple more ticks.
Yeah. I mean, everything's drafts all and pitchers are all about. Well, not just pitchers, but any position player or anything. It's about the projectability and seeing a guy go one more year and into his 20s and not bump up in velo.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Right.
So.
What did you? I didn't even ask anyone this, and I don't remember this. Like this summer, I played for the Rifles. Where did you play? I don't even remember you. Did you go anywhere, or did you just shut it down, or what did you do?
Gosh, I don't know.
I mean, you never went to one of those like wood bat college league things.
No, I never did like Cape. No, like the Cape
right?
or anything. No. Mm-mm.
Do you remember why? I mean, like it seems like something. I mean, as a pitcher, I understand like if you got a lot of innings under your belt, maybe like.
Well, Cape Cod stuff isn't that that's invitation kind of thing, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know that I got that offer.
Did you just play like men's league around here? Was there like a Bulldogs men's league summer team?
Yeah, I don't think I did that. I don't know if I just kind of went on my own and just started training in the summer and throwing pins and playing long catch.
Right.
I'm guessing that's what I did, but I really don't know, man. It's kind of a blur. When you play this much baseball, it just kind of a lot of baseball, man. Blends together a little bit,
Understandable.
So, but I knew when I got to my sophomore year, I was in much better shape. I was noticeably stronger. And the velo was good coming out of the gates in the spring and started to turn some heads again.
We're getting there because there's like everyone wanted to talk about this Chandler Gilbert game, which is really cool. We've got
that was early in the season.
Yeah,
early in the season, spring trip down in Arizona, and
boy, arms was feeling good that day.
We had purple uniforms, and we show up against these guys that look like they're already in Double-A, and it's one of the most well-respected JUCOs down south.
Yeah.
It's a really good program
in the country. Yeah.
They're probably sitting there going, look at these, guys. but they didn't
Sweet
know
unis.
they didn't know we had a dude, so I shoved that game.
I got something for you.
I did. I had something for him that game. I was throwing really well, and so well that the Cub Scout that drafted me was at the game. The guy that drafted me, Steve Zielinski. That doesn't sound right. Steve Zielinski. Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
He was at the game, and after the game, he comes on the field, and he's like, "That was really impressive." He's like, "You made a lot of money today."
All right, dude. Let me play some clips here before we just get all into this. So this is like the very start of your sophomore year. Before I get any further, I'm just going to – you absolutely dominated your sophomore year. 56 innings pitched, 65 Ks, 1.28 ERA, 7-1. Definitely upgraded here. So we're going to play some clips on this Chandler Gilbert game here. All right. Here we go. Well, first one's going to be Coach Tor.
Like 15 scouts in the stands, and they've got draft picks all over the country, or all over the field and on the mound. And we show up, and it is an unbelievable ball game. And long story short, he was 94 into the seventh inning. Stan Zielinski was a scout for the Cubs. He passed away, and after the game, he came up to me. It's a game in which we won. I believe it was 1-0, and he said, "Your boy just made himself a lot of money." And I said, "Why is that?" He goes, "He was 92 to 94 in the seventh." Now I didn't want him to pitch seven. It was his first outing of the year. His pitch count was getting up there. Kind of goes against everything. Hey, you don't need to go back out there. And he was like, "No, man, I'm winning this game. I'm going." I mean, it was like no choice. You're not taking me out. And the way in which the game unfolded and the seventh inning, I could take you back on how that happened, but it was unbelievable. And I get back to the hotel and I'm getting phone calls from Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and I'm like, who are these people calling me? And word of mouth spread pretty quick, and from that point on, his velocity was up, and then his next outing we got.
All right, the next one is Bobby. So I've got it labeled Bobby Chandler Gilbert, and I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I don't remember how much I clipped this. It was like a 10-minute clip at one point, and I was like, I gotta trim this down some. So I'm not. We might be sitting here for a second. I can't remember. So we'll do our best to get through this.
All right.
He was excited. This is a great story, though. All right. This is your dad, Bobby Erickson.
And I said, somebody good's pitching against him. Sure enough, they got a lefty going. I can't think of his name either. I'm getting too old. But he ended up getting Casey's roommate with the Yankees.
This is true.
Really?
Later on. Oh, one of his good friends.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we go out. Casey's warming up. And I went down to Janet, and I said, man, Casey's throwing gas. So we go. She goes, well, I'm going to go up and sit behind the scouts. So she goes up and sat behind the gun. I went down to the side, always on the opposing team side, so he'll look. If he happens to ever look at the on-deck hitter, he sees me. So I'm standing down there, and he goes out in the bottom of the first. And as he's warming up, the two guys on batting circle, on deck circle, stand there. First two hitters for them, and one of them says to the other, he goes, "Hey, that guy's throwing gas." And the glove was popping. I mean, it was. So I thought, good, he's got some stuff today. And the game starts. I mean, he starts throwing. I look at Janet, and she's flashing two fingers, first couple pitches. And I thought, God, he's throwing 92. He blows the first guy away. The next guy, she's 3. And then 4.
Really?
And he was throwing 95 that day.
Are you kidding me?
They beat
I
him.
didn't realize you ran
No,
up there.
he touched 95 that day.
Wow.
And the scout for the Cubs, the main guy for the Yankees was there. He was there to watch the other guy. I can't even think it wasn't general manager, but it was somebody like that. Was at the game. And the guy from the Cubs come down and he goes, "Hey, Bobby." Oh, I know who else. Let's see. Man, I can't remember anybody's name. I'm really getting old. kid who pitched here in town from Griffin, left-hander, pitched for the Cubs. O'Malley, yeah. Ryan was there. Ryan knew that Casey was pitching. He was somewhere else that day, and he came to the game. And he goes, "Oh my God!" And he come on. He goes, "Bobby, he's throwing 90-something, isn't he?" You know, those guys know it. I go, "Yeah." Janet just keeps flashing 5 fingers and 4. And he goes, "Yep, I believe it." He goes, "Well, he don't need me. He don't need me to tell him anything." Because Ryan had talked to him a couple times, and so the Cub guy comes down, and he goes, "Hey, Bobby, what a performance!" He goes, I might as well not even hang around anymore. He goes, whoever the guy's name was, can't think of his name. He's here. He goes, "We'll never beat the Yankees. Will get him." I said, really? What? He goes, when the Yankees want somebody, they get you. They'll just do whatever they have to do to get him.
All right, that's the end of our clip there. It wasn't as long as I thought. That was great. Do you have any thoughts on this? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, the guns must have been off that day.
Man, dude. Touching 95.
I felt really good. You know, I got down there in some warmer weather. You know, and
feeling good,
I
loose,
was throwing
strong.
Indoors here, and I was throwing hard indoors. You know, we had guns out. I know I was around 91. I was hitting some 92s indoors.
Yeah.
And, I just had a feeling like, man, once I get outside and it's like warming up, I didn't think it would happen the first game. I didn't think I was going to throw that many pitches either, but you know, I'm hard to take out of games. So because I know we want to win, and teammates want to win. It was a big game for us. I mean, to beat that team was huge for us, and you know, in that moment, that's all that mattered. You know, so I know Tor was hesitant about my pitch count. He was worried about too many pitches, but he didn't have any control of that. He wasn't going to take me out of that game.
Yeah.
No, that was cool. That was a great way to start off the spring trip. You know, we were riding a high for the rest of the week down there after that game, and it was funny. Ryan O'Malley, I do remember him there.
He was a part of the story.
Yeah, and you know what? I ran into him again in pro ball. He was a pitching coach, and I can't remember for what team, but it was an A ball.
He was with the Angels and the Rangers as a pitching coach.
And I came in relief in the game. In one of the games of that series, and I had a really good second half of that year. That was the year I got traded, and I had a really good second half. Yeah, Eric Hinsky, and O'Malley was there, and I mowed down through the first 6 guys in the first 2 innings, and then I get 2 outs in the 8th, I think, or something, and I got the 9-hole up, and I'm just like, we're winning by a few, and I'm like, here, eat this fastball. And the dude smokes it right back at me, and I go to catch it, get my glove, I protect myself hitting the face, and it hits me right in my left forearm, and I got taken out of the game. I get into the clubhouse, and my arm looks like it's broke. It's got this huge lump on the side, and I had to go get x-rays and stuff or whatever, but O'Malley came in and checked on me.
Really?
Yeah. After the game was over, he came in to see how I was doing.
He is a phenomenal person. One of my favorite people in the world. What an awesome guy. That's cool that he came out to show some love.
It was cool.
Local guy.
Yeah. I wish it would have ended differently. Just like shake his hand through the line and be like, "Hey, man, great to see you." But I had to get smoked with a line drive.
So, had this really cool game. What does it feel like? This is like a dumb question, but I'm just gonna ask it.
No,
what does it feel like throwing throwing mid-90s, man, like fuzz like that, and it's
fun. It's really
There's
fun.
my answer.
I remember I knew the ball was coming out of my hand really well.
It felt different.
I knew I was throwing low 90s, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like it wasn't 88, 89.
Yeah.
It wasn't 90. It was 91. I knew I was like probably 92, 93, maybe 94. But my ball had a lot of life that day. The ball was – I remember I got a lot of swing and misses at the top of the zone because my ball was just taking off, and then it had that extra gear. And
so you weren't exerting yourself too much, because sometimes people exert, their shit flattens out.
No. I always had a I don't want
life on it.
Yeah, I don't want to say smooth delivery, because I don't think it was a smooth one, but I think effortless is what I was told a lot. It just when I threw ball, it looked effortless. And that day was no different. I just felt really good, and it was the first time out. I had some extra juices flowing, and we're in Arizona. It's freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
We're on this awesome field. It's like 425 feet to center, so I'm good on home runs. You know?
Right.
Let's go.
I bet this team was like, who is this freaking guy in this purple uniform?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, SCI. Who the
right?
heck is this? Yeah,
Their coach.
There was a play at the plate to end that game. There was a call at the plate. I can't remember if it was I think it was like a runner on second, like a blooper into the outfield, and I think our left fielder came up threw it right on the money, and our catcher, who was like a middle linebacker for Taylorville, he's a big dude. He's like just smothering the plate.
Yeah,
he was a tough
what was his
dude. Andy. Gosh darn it. I'm terrible. See, I sound like my dad.
You're
now.
like Bobby, man.
Gee, Merry Christmas.
The mind's going.
Yeah, he blocked the plate and caught the ball, and the dude slid into him, and he literally then he caught it and tagged him.
Yeah.
And the umpires, rung him up, and coach comes on the field, rips his shirt off, and screaming, just going bananas. And we were just, celebrating ourselves.
Yeah.
It was a cool game.
That is cool, man.
Yeah, it was.
Was it a different experience for you your sophomore year in terms of now where scouts coming around more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as we got back
ramped
home.
up.
As soon as we got back to Illinois, and my next start, of course, was in 30-something degree weather, freezing cold, and I wasn't hitting 94.
Right.
I was 91, 92, which was still getting the job done.
Yeah.
But it was a miserable day to pitch, and I remember there was like 15 scouts, and I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
I created a little buzz.
Yeah.
It's back. And so yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah.
A great memory for me and my teammates there. It was a fun season.
Right.
We had a lot of fun that year.
So did you even bother to talk to another school or colleges out of this?
Man. That was
nothing.
Dumb. That was
like,
dumb.
nah.
It was dumb, man. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't have that leverage. I should have.
You wish you would have at least signed somewhere.
Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore these days.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
So you were just so one track. This is what I'm doing. That was like I'm not even bothering with the rest of it.
I guess. I guess that's the way I felt. I don't know. I'm not sure why I didn't pursue. Looking for another college to play when I graduated.
No schools were reaching out. Like, is this guy available?
Not that I remember. I don't know if they just expected I would sign.
Yeah.
I think that's
foregone.
Yeah, I think it was more of like, hey, he's ready for he's ready for professional ball. He's not interested. He's going to sign. But yeah, that's just how that went. So
cool. So a really strong, sophomore year here. Oh, man, we gotta get to some. We got some Travis Myers quotes here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and we got an awesome quote or clip from him, but we're not playing it until we get to pro ball.
Oh boy,
I loved it, man. It made me really laugh. Because sometimes when I talk to these guys, I get to the end. My last question for them is always, "Do you have any funny stories?" And sometimes they're kind of like on the spot, and they're like, "I don't know, like maybe," or some of them are like, "Yeah," but they're can't tell those on a podcast, and like. But he was ready, and this is I love it. It's a great clip. We'll get to it. All right, Travis Myers. I don't think college ball was on Casey's radar coming out of high school, but things shook out differently for him, and he had to pivot. But honestly, I think that could have been the best thing that happened to him. He became even better at SCI. We lived together at SCI on the north end. Yeah, Indian Hills. Went to class, played ball. Such a fun year. He talked about the Chandler Gilbert story. That was the best pitching performance he's ever seen from you. His work ethic stood out, was doing push-ups in the living room, or just randomly he'd go running for an hour and come back drenched in sweat. Casey's work ethic when people weren't watching is what really pushed him forward and took him to the next level. Putting that time in when no one was watching, he took nothing for granted. If Casey is going to work this hard, then it made everyone else raise their level as well. I love stuff like that on teams. Like there's there's a guy that people look towards, and if they have a good work ethic, that just makes everything else fall in line so well.
Yeah, it's contagious.
Yeah, totally. He made everyone else better, and then it's called Funny Home Run Ball Story, but we'll get to that, the clip later. I already told you what it was.
Yeah.
So you know what it was when we get there. So let's we're going to get to the draft here, but there's a few – so – going back to, Casey being a kind-hearted soul here.
Yeah.
We've got a couple clips here on kind of you on SCI, how it ended, and like you really, really liked this group. You liked being there and your time there, and like you didn't want it to end.
No, I didn't
in
want
some
to
way.
end,
Of course, you
man.
want to go to pro ball, but you appreciate this group that you were with.
Of course, and at that time, I knew things were going to go well for me in the draft. So I knew that I knew the business side of professional baseball, and I don't want to say the fun was over, right? But I knew I wasn't going to play anymore.
Yeah,
I wasn't going to hit anymore.
Yeah,
and I wasn't going to get to compete daily like I would when playing college ball or high school ball. So yeah, part of me was kind of torn. I was like, man, this it's going to be a big change.
Yeah.
And
we forgot to touch on it. You hit a good amount your freshman year at
I did.
SCI.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of less your sophomore year as things got more serious.
Yeah, they got more serious, and I was playing third, and it's just hard to go throw on the mound, and then the next day you're playing third. I was just cautious about my arm.
Yeah.
And I think Tor wanted me to say that. He wanted me to be like, hey, I just want to pitch this year.
Yeah.
I think it took a lot of pressure off himself.
Yeah. He didn't want you to get hurt.
He didn't want me to get hurt, and it can happen in multiple ways. You could hurt your arm. You could get hit by a pitch. You could, totally. Sliding in, break something, tear something. And I think me just being like, hey, man, it was the first time, and I don't want to say I was about myself that year, but it was the first time where I kind of put myself first. Mm-hmm. And I was like, hey, man, I got to play it smart here and, take care of myself a little bit
balance.
Better.
It sounded like you guys found a nice balance. Like, obviously, pro ball was your next step.
Yeah.
You didn't want to do anything to jeopardize that.
Right.
You want to be a part of the team and contribute. Mm-hmm. Sounds like you guys – I mean, you're obviously still shoving as a pitcher, so you're providing value. Of course, they would have liked your bat because, you had a bat that a lot of people forget about. A lot of power. Yeah.
Juice bat era.
I mean, like, how much did you enjoy hitting? Was that – something that
I just didn't like watching.
Yeah,
okay, when I suited up in a uniform, I wanted to be between the lines. I didn't want to be in the dugout.
That's my man.
Yeah. I enjoyed hitting. Now when guys started pumping 90s at me, I was like, I don't know if I like this that much. I remember Dahlkamp, him throwing. I mean, he's like 6'7" or something, just reaching out and throwing gas at your.
Dahlkamp was dirty, and he was really kind of way over here.
Oh God,
low 3/4.
Oh,
and he couldn't throw a straight ball for his life.
No,
everything ran hard.
I stepped in the bucket every time I faced him.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad Dolly's name came up because that's a name people forget about. Dolly, standout at Landfair, Lincoln Land. Had signed with Carbondale, blew up his shoulder. This guy was absolutely headed for pro ball.
Mm-hmm.
Had pro ball tools. I think he's an electrician here in town now. So shout out to Matt Dahlkamp. You're not forgotten, my brother.
Not at all.
Yeah. Cool. So a couple clips here. Tor on Casey being a caring teammate. And I don't know what I went back and listened to our first podcast, and I could not stop cracking up when there's that part where you're like, oh, yeah, I guess I'm a softie because I don't like seeing my friends hit frogs with rackets. Man, I was losing it.
Yeah, that's a true story, man.
Man, it's
like a frog, like suicide mission, dude. It was terrible.
Stop hitting the frogs. Oh, Casey, you was.
You know what? My kids are like that too. They love reptiles and stuff and fish. Like they're not afraid to pick up snakes and all that. They're just same.
Some little boys, man.
Yeah.
All right.
But I think what a lot of people don't know is he's really it's kind of the opposite. He's not pompous. He's not arrogant. It's
humble.
He is so caring. He's such a caring kid. He's kind of an emotional guy that you just don't see that on the outside. He is all about the team first, and it doesn't appear to be that way, but that's the way it is. I mean, he would do anything for his teammates, man. I mean, and I'm telling you, he didn't want to go away because he didn't want to be out of his comfort level. He wanted to stay close to home and wanted to be with his teammates. So that's kind of a characteristic that's unique in itself. But you wouldn't think that because he was just good and he carried himself in such a professional manner that kids his age took it as this guy's arrogant or this guy's cocky. And
right.
I could see why one would think that, but it was his confidence.
All right, and then your dad, Bobby, on Casey not wanting to leave SCI.
They got beaten, eliminated. They had the big team meeting at the end, a lot of crying and stuff. And Casey knew he was going to get drafted, and he said, "I'd give it all up to play another year with you guys." I will. To stay here with Tor and play again. He's the greatest team person in the world in that respect.
That's
how he coaches, and that's how he even coaches the little kids. He coaches little kids. It's a team thing.
All right. You got any thoughts or just
no I in team?
I love it, man. So we're at the end of your time at SCI. It's time to get drafted, man. It is time to start your pro career. Seems like you've been destined to do this since you were a little kid, my man. How does this go for you? How is draft day leading up to it? Obviously, you get taken in the 10th round by the Yankees. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how this went for you.
Yeah, definitely a lot of anticipation, maybe a little anxiety. But had a lot of my teammates, family, friends, coaches, instructors. I mean, just a ton of people got together at my parents' house, and we just all kind of, ate, talked, hung out, enjoyed each other's company. Until the phone rang, and my dad answered, and it was the Yankees, and they said, "Hey, we're going to take Casey in the 10th round," and he said, "Do it."
There's more to it than this. What were you being told?
As far as what,
wise,
I think it was like 7, 8, 10, 7 to 10, something like that, 8 to 12, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Obviously I wasn't a top prospect in the country, and there was good reason for that. I wasn't, there was a lot of good players.
Sure.
There's just a ton of good baseball players, not only in the United States, but, everywhere. But 8 to 10 rounds, I was happy with that.
Sure. 10th round is still like high enough where you're going to be valued by just to some degree by your organization.
You would think, yeah. You would think. Yeah, you would think.
It's not always
what it seems.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But yeah, it was a really fun day. I'll never forget. You always dream about getting your name called, and it wasn't called, by the commissioner or anything at the podium, but it was just a write up on the internet, and it showed you where you got drafted. And, dream come true, so to speak, right?
Yeah, here it goes.
Yeah, so
what
I went.
What about negotiations? How'd that go? From when I read it, you were drafted and you were gone pretty quick. Like, it wasn't long.
No, it wasn't. It was quick. It happened
was ready
fast.
to go.
Yeah, it wasn't. Like I said, I didn't really have a lot of leverage. I think they knew. That it's like, hey, this dude's kind of all in. Like, we could probably.
He didn't even commit anywhere.
Yeah, we could probably not spend a ton here.
Lowball him.
But no, and honestly, like,
was there slot value at this point?
Yeah, there's slot value.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what I probably was right in the slot at the 10th round. I got, but I wasn't. It wasn't really about the money for me. I think, like you said, kind of about, where you're drafted as far as which round is kind of the commitment that they're investing in you.
Yeah.
So
it means a big deal.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
And I was more concerned with that. I was just like, hey, I want to be somebody that they value, and they're gonna, look forward to, hey, this could be the future for us,
Absolutely.
And, so money wasn't the the number one thing.
Yeah. Can you tell us what you got?
Yeah, they gave me like $85,000, something like that.
How'd you feel getting that kind of money as?
Well, you get it in two checks. You don't get all in one. And taxes, they get their Uncle Sam gets theirs. I didn't understand that when I was 20, but
right?
I found that out the hard way. You get a check in I think maybe September, and then another one in January or something. Yeah. And
you go and buy anything fun?
Not really, man.
Didn't put rims on your car or anything? No sound system.
I did buy a car. I bought a car. After I got back from my first year, I bought a car.
Okay.
And it was $20,000 car. It wasn't anything special.
Yeah.
But it was cool that I could buy my own vehicle.
Absolutely.
At 20.
Yeah. Okay, we're back after a short restroom break. We're gonna start my man Crooks here pro career. So we're signed, sealed, and delivered. How excited are you to go off and start this journey, man?
Yeah, I was definitely ready to go. Spring training down in Florida in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Already had my buddy Travis Myers living down there.
Yeah.
So I knew that he could kind of show me around and just get me familiar with the area. But yeah, man, I couldn't wait to get the Yankees uniform on and get my locker and start my journey. You know, and it was at first, man, it was crazy. I mean, just to see how many guys are there.
Yeah.
From all over the country,
and the talent's kind of at a much higher level, more even.
Yeah, you're just seeing so much, and more. It was more the position guys were more impressive to me than the pitchers.
Okay.
Just on the pure athleticism that these guys had, you're just like, wow, these dudes just are. There's some
level.
guys that are just raw.
Yeah.
Just raw tools. Maybe not the most polished.
Right.
Maybe
but
not.
You can see the.
Maybe didn't know the game as well as some of the guys you played with. They made some mental mistakes and stuff, but just the raw athleticism where you're like, holy crap, look at that guy's arm from the outfield. Or
this guy figures it out, look out.
Yeah, look how fast this dude is. Or look at the bat speed. That was just like
interesting.
really impressive.
Yeah. What was that like, seeing your first pro jersey? Putting on your first pro jersey, man. Dang,
it was cool. It was cool, man. Especially having my uncle play with the Yankees, kind of a little sentimental there.
Yeah.
But Yankees do it right, man. They have a heck of a farm system, and they got former big leaguers around all the time, and they make it known that, like, hey, this is possible for you.
Yeah.
We're a family here. We're trying to win titles.
I always read about like the Yankees bringing in like just a wild roster of former guys to spring training. Like
they
former
do.
Guys like, like Reggie Jackson's here.
Reggie Jackson.
What the heck? Like,
yep, he's
rubbing elbows with these guys. Like
in the spread line with Reggie.
Yeah, can you tell me some names that you rubbed elbows with?
Yeah, that he was one of them. I mean, I'd had a conversation with him. That was really cool.
Yeah.
George Steinbrenner, met him. That was
really
that was because he's like a ghost. I mean. He was just in and out of places. Nobody knew that he was there. They might say something in the locker room, like the club. He might be like, "Hey, boss man's here today. Make sure." And everybody's like, "Oh, okay.
Keep it tight."
Yeah, watch yourself.
The boss man.
But like, I saw Mike Mussina pitch, Andy Pettit pitch, Jorge Posada. Actually, he was on a. Not to jump ahead because I think this might have been my second year, but big names, man, big Yankee legends,
man.
And it's just it's cool. It's cool because they're out in this 4-6 diamond complex. There's 100 and something dudes out there all over the fields, and you look around and you see all these former big leaguers, just these iconic figures, and you're just like, wow. They're a part of this too, like they're not just gone. Yeah, it is. It was definitely motivating, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
So did you go after you must have gone after SCI then? You went that summer?
Yeah.
You didn't take the summer off and then sign it next year, right?
Yeah. Let me think here.
Yeah, that would have been right.
It would have after SCI. It wasn't too long after that.
Yeah, so they sent you to Gulf Coast Yankees there.
Yep, Gulf Coast Yankees for rookie ball. Again, new experience for me, a lot of growing to do.
Yeah.
Ended up repeating that one more year, and at that point I was a lot of frustrated. But just keep grinding away and hope that they see the potential that you have. And
yeah, I mean, how did you? So 4.91 in your first year there, 3-2, 29 innings pitched, no longer starting. So that's an adjustment for you.
No, I was starting at that time still.
Okay. In Baseball Reference, they don't have it listed as games started.
Oh,
just 10 games.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I was still starting at that time.
Okay.
First couple years, first 3 years, I was a starter.
Yeah. The next 2 years, there's some starts for sure.
Yeah. 29 innings. It's not a lot. Not a lot of time to show what you got.
Yeah.
So definitely frustrated with that. But determined. Came home in the off season and worked really hard and
felt like you belonged.
Oh, absolutely.
Didn't feel like it was too big for you.
No.
Yeah.
No. Not at all. I mean, I remember a guy named Lance Pendleton who ended up, I think he got like a cup of coffee with Houston, I think, at some point. He was a pitcher. And I talked to him years down there. I ran into him like 5 years into my career, and I think it was at I dressed a big league game with the Pirates my last year.
Yeah.
I didn't get in. I did throw a bullpen down there, but and Lance was I think he was with Houston. He could have been with somebody else. He bounced around a little bit, but we talked. We were saying, hey, what's up, man? And he's like, dude, I remember the first bullpen I saw you throw, and how good it was. He's like, I knew. I was like, this dude's going bigs.
Really?
Yeah. He's like, it was amazing. It was just, the command was just, and you have bullpens where that happens. You throw, you just feel like, hey, put your glove somewhere and I'm going to hit it.
Yeah.
And it was one of those bullpens, and he was sitting right behind me waiting to throw, and that's, that was the impression that he had. He was just like, man, this dude's unreal. Was that where your head was at? Were you thinking I'm going to the big leagues, or were you thinking I'm thankful that I'm in pro ball. I'm going to do my best to see where it goes. Right.
The goal.
I never thought that I was overmatched.
Mm-hmm.
I never had the feeling like I don't belong, like I wasn't good enough. I never had that feeling. I felt like when I did perform, it was good enough, right, to continue to play.
Yeah.
Because that's what it comes down to, especially when you get in your third, fourth, fifth year. It's like, I'm just trying to get to next year. Like, right. I'm trying to hold on here.
Trying to keep this jersey on my back.
I'm just trying to keep my job, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is.
Man,
it's such a cutthroat business.
It's cutthroat, boy.
Trying to keep a job.
Yeah.
There's a new wave of guys coming in every year.
Yep. They're fresh arms.
And they're investing money, and they're trying to come up, and so definitely a grind down there in spring training and in my early days in rookie ball and stuff.
And rookie ball is unlike when you get to like the little bit of the higher levels, right? It's more like a baseball boot camp almost
It's more like a glorified spring training, really. You don't play in – there's a few stadiums that are good size, but not as many games.
Right.
And much more training, not a lot of travel.
Yeah.
That's kind of the difference.
Not the glamorous lifestyle that you said some people like were very, very mistaken about.
No.
Right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Where were you living? Oh, with Travis during this?
Huh?
Were you living with Travis during this?
No. Okay, so not my first year down there. I was in a hotel. I stayed in a hotel on Dale Mabry Boulevard, like maybe 2 blocks from the Buccaneer Stadium. Stadium and the Yankees spring training complex are really right on the same block.
Okay.
They share this just enormous land or this big property. So really cool area to be in. If you walked around, you went out and stuff, you'd see professional athletes left and right.
Yeah.
It was just and that's why there's so many Yankee fans down there, because that's where their spring training is. A lot of people are lured to go there and be able to get up and close with, professional players and stuff. And, So
what's that? So do your thing your first year. Not shoving like 1.0, but you didn't fall on your face. You figured some things out.
Yeah.
Like you said, you felt like you belonged.
Mm-hmm.
What does this off season look like for you? What do you feel like you need to address? Like, are you working a job? Take us through what that looks like.
Yeah,
for
I think I did
play.
part-time work, and just knew that I had to get back in the weight room and just live there and just get stronger, man. I mean, that was and train. Train my arm, get my arm stronger.
Right.
It was no like secret recipe. I just knew that I had to do better, and I knew I would. I did have to make some adjustments my first year. Because you played some professional ball, but the baseballs are much different.
Oh my gosh!
They're
dude.
like
jarring
like pool balls. They're like a cue ball.
Yeah.
There's literally no seams. They're much harder. I had a hard time throwing my breaking ball.
Really?
My first year. It took me a while to get adjusted to be able to get it to where it became.
Yeah.
And it became better.
Yeah.
But it took a while to get used to.
Of course, we're talking about at the lower levels. The seams feel so huge when you compare it to a professional baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just they're strung much tighter.
Yeah.
They're much lower, and it's not like a high school or college ball where those raised seams and you can just snap balls off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was much different. So that took some adjustment to get to.
Do you when you got there, did you feel like guys were in your corner, or like the Yankees were valuing you, or did you feel like just another dude? Or
yeah, definitely. Just felt like another dude trying to. There's just so much talent around, and back then, you didn't have the access, I guess, to just search on people like you do today.
Yeah.
Right. You know, so I couldn't look at a guy and be like, all right, I'm gonna go look what he, what he signed for and where he's from and like what. So it wasn't really anything about that. It was just performance only. I mean, that's all I was really comparing myself to others, which is not a good thing to do. But it's really hard not to do.
Human nature.
It is human nature to compare yourself like that, and that's, like I said, I mean, nobody was, I wasn't blown away by anybody who throwing, definitely some guys with some really good arms and but command wise, I felt like I was at the at a high level with my command.
Always,
But there's guys throwing harder than me.
Was it weird going from like every other place you'd played, you'd been the dude. Now you're a dude. Yeah. Amongst dudes.
Sure.
A dude quote. But like, was that weird for you as well, or?
Yeah, I guess it was a little bit. I've always been pretty humble. I never thought that.
So you didn't really need to be humble,
anyways.
Yeah. Okay.
So that didn't really play a factor that much.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Moving on to your second year of pro ball here. From how I look at this would have been your first spring training, like actual going to spring training. Yeah. What was that experience like for you?
Man, it was a grind, dude. I mean, 6:30, 7 o'clock on the field. You're in the clubhouse. Nobody's telling you where to go, where to be, what field you're on, who you're with. There's literally like a board, and it's just all you see is like names and colors and fields and times, and you're just like, what am I looking for here? Yeah. So that part was overwhelming. I mean, we're all kind of looking at each other like, are we I mean, they're literally like 15 dudes just standing in front of this chart trying to figure out where they're supposed to go because they know if they're late, it ain't going to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was as professional as you can get. Like, here you go, dude. Find your way. Figure it out. Yeah. You know where you're supposed to be.
Time to grow up.
There's a lot of in spring training for pitchers. There's a lot of, we called it eye wash. Yeah. Hey, go over here and we're gonna do like PFP comebackers too. And it's like, dude, how many times do I have to do this?
Yeah.
Like, really.
Someone was saying, I can't remember which guest I had, but they were like, "There's a reason pitchers are so weird. It's just they have so much free time to just be weird."
Yeah, we did. Yeah, you do a lot of goofing off and talking about like just dumb stuff.
Right.
But yeah, spring training's a grind, dude. Long days. I mean, you come out, you practice all day. It's 100 degrees. You're dripping sweat. Then you go in. You eat head to the spread line.
Post game spread.
Head of the post practice spread, and then you might hit a shower, put your uniform on, and then you head out at 1 o'clock in the hottest part of the day, and you go. You might have to throw an inning that day, or you're either if you're not doing that, your radar gun or you're charting or something, and then by 3:30 it's time to go, and by that time you're just like, just get me to some air conditioning. Get me I want to just chill, it's just, and it's that day after day after day for, how many days spring training is. 30, roughly 30 days, no days off. It's a grind,
Absolutely.
So. And
then out of there, you get sent back to rookie ball.
Yeah.
So where are you at with that?
Definitely, not where I wanted to be.
Right. Especially, so you would have been
I was
21, 22 at this time.
I was really pissed off after that because I thought I for sure was headed to Staten Island.
Somewhere in A-ball?
Yeah. I was really frustrated. I felt like they were trying to bury me or for some reason at that point, but I don't know why. But you know what? Just kind of kept my head up and just said, man, this is what I've always dreamed to do. I'm not, I'm not going to let this get to me. I'm not going to give up on it. I'm just going to grind it out and get better and put up better numbers. And
you did.
And that's
substantially.
That's what it became though, dude. I mean, I've never been a stat guy, but it became that.
It does.
It's like, dude, I don't want to give up a run. I don't want to give up a walk. I don't want to give up a hit. I mean, that turned into a reality for me.
And every guy that's been on here has talked about how it's so different in pro ball because it's like this weird kind of balance between like you're trying to do your thing to progress. Mm-hmm. The club is trying to do what's best for them in terms of like moving talent.
Yeah. And
like the manager like is still kind of trying to win, but also trying to develop talent and like you're not always playing the guy that's the best necessarily, but sometimes they have money in a guy. So he's playing, whether he's hitting 100 or not.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just like so different from what you had been used to coming up, where it's like the best players play and more of like a team, especially you coming from Diamond Kings and all this, like this group. That must have been a totally different atmosphere for you.
It wasn't my favorite, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But like you said, everybody's trying to move up. Players, coaches.
Damn truth.
Trainers. I mean, everybody's trying to move up.
It looks like you made the best of it. I mean, obviously you don't want to go back to rookie ball, but 2.76 ERA, shoving again. 3-2 here, 29 innings pitched. What can you tell me about what you remember about that year? Anything stand out?
Just had an attitude about, I'm going to show you that I don't belong here again.
How did you not get moved?
I don't know.
Throwing 2 points,
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just strange. Yeah, I've always looked at your numbers before I knew you and been like, I'm a baseball reference guy. I love baseball reference. Sure. I get lost on it. Like I'll click on one guy, and then I click on another guy, and then I click on a roster, and then I'm like, before I know it, I'm like 10 degrees away from where I started, and it's like an hour. I'm like, I just wasted an hour of my life on baseball reference. But that must have been so frustrating for you.
It was very frustrating. And not to jump ahead, but it got to a point where I started to lose passion for the game a little bit. I wasn't playing every day. I wasn't hitting. I was just a pitcher, man. I just, hey, you're throwing tomorrow, or especially when I got to the bullpen. Yeah. That really sucked. I didn't enjoy the bullpen.
Right.
I had good years in the bullpen, but I didn't like it, But, I was out to prove something my second year and just frustrated with the way things got set up and the way things happened out. I was really shocked. I mean, they do it the old school way, man. They post it on the wall. You know, here's your team going. Here's Staten Island's team. Here's AA team.
Right.
When I didn't see my name up there, I was pissed.
I mean, but the whole year you're performing well. Was there like a belief that, okay, eventually they're going to move me? Like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Why would they leave a 10th round pick in rookie ball for a second year if he's performing? It doesn't make sense
a lot
to
of
me.
thoughts like that went in my head. Like,
doesn't make sense.
If you're not going to move me, like, release me or trade me or something. Do something to get if I'm not in the cards for your future, like do something with me. So at that point, I was pretty frustrated with that organization.
Already, second year.
Yeah, it was. I was frustrated.
It's so much of this is timing, man. Like O'Malley had a pitching coach that was really in his corner and helped him a ton.
Sure.
Aper had a manager that hated him and followed him seemingly every year and did disastrous things. Was there anyone in your minor league career that was kind of like your guy, a coach that was in your corner? Or you never felt like you had that?
No, I didn't. I didn't feel like I had that.
Yeah.
No, not really.
It sucks.
Yeah, pitchers. Yeah, I never felt that I had. Managers are so busy, just organizing everything and making sure they're worried about their position guys. Pitchers, you guys are over here.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't really feel like I had somebody in my corner, and I really never did in the 5 years that I played.
Really?
No.
Yeah, I know you kind of alluded to you not being enamored with how you were treated in the Pirates organization. Like, not the best experience. We'll get there.
Okay.
But so at what point were you living with T. Myers? Was it spring training or during the season?
No, I just stay with him in spring training. I don't think I lived with him for like a full season or anything.
Okay.
He had a girlfriend and stuff, and I don't know if they were married yet or not, but I didn't want to impose on him.
Sure. Well, might as well play it now. This is our Travis Myers clips. I laugh when I play this. I think I
laugh every time I hear Travis. He's hilarious.
He's hilarious, man. I'd never talked to him before this. Like not one time.
He's a character.
It was fun. All right, here we go. Home run story.
I was here. I told you I moved to Tampa in 2006, and part of the reason I moved to Tampa, I actually moved to. I was in the Florida Keys. I moved from Chatham to Marathon in the Florida Keys, and I was down there for 2 months becoming a dive instructor. And when I graduated, they said, "Where do you want to go?" And I knew that Casey was in Tampa, and I knew I wanted to stay in Florida. So I said, "I want to go to Tampa." So I ended up in Tampa in part because he was here, right? And that's where I wanted to be. So I came to Tampa. In his first year, he's playing in the Yankee Rookie League, and the stadiums are over by the Buccaneers stadium. Their diamonds are over by the Buc Stadium. So I would go and watch them play as much as I can. And one game I'm watching them playing. At the time, you could park your truck anywhere by the field. There's a parking lot on the other side of the outfield fence. So I parked my truck out there. Casey's pitching, and he gives up just a bomb, right? I mean, he gives up a mammoth home run to some dude on the other team, and the ball ends up rolling out by my truck. And for some reason, he's riding with me after the game. I don't know if I'm taking him back to his hotel, or at the time he used to come over to my house a lot. So anyway, he gets in the truck after the game, and I got the ball waiting for him. And I said, "Hey, man, will you sign this ball for me?" And he's like, "Is that what I think it is?" And he signs it. He signs it. Casey Erickson, F.U. It wasn't an F, right? So, So, and I had it like I had it forever. I couldn't tell you where it is, man, but I did. I had it for years. It was on my shelf in my office, and
God. Man, that's
funny, dude.
That's a great story. So I had Casey. I'm having everyone I have on sign a ball before they do it now. And now I wish I had Casey sign the ball. F.U. Casey Erickson. I might bring it back to him.
Yeah.
But man, that's just like the good stuff between good buddies, man.
Yeah.
That's the good stuff. I love it.
Yeah, Travis is a good friend, man. And he knows how to piss me off, and he pissed me off.
Did you laugh at the moment, or were you pissed about this?
I probably laughed it off, dude. It's not like it's the first bomb I've ever given up. I mean, I think he kind of, exaggerated a little bit. I don't know if it was like a mammoth home run,
Well, for the sake of a story, man, you got to give some fun details.
No, it probably was. It was probably one of those where you just, you're like, it's freaking gone.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, dude, I gave up a home run on that field that he's talking about. This was funny. I'll never forget this, and I don't know how to explain this on the radio or the podcast, but I gave up a home run to dead center, and they had a batter's eye that was like, God, I mean, it had to be like 40 feet.
Mm-hmm.
It was, if you hit it over that batter's eye,
450,
you crushed this ball.
Absolutely.
And I just remember the dude hit it, and I was like, I didn't watch the ball. I was looking at my catcher because I was pissed. All right, he hit it, and he takes off running. He wasn't jogging. But as soon as he came off the bat, I was like, dude, if that goes out, like, I'm going to lose it. And I'm watching my catcher, and he's watching the ball just, like, in awe. I think his jaw is, like, hanging out of his catcher's mask. And he like, when it goes over, it looked like his body convulsed. He was like, he, like, dropped to his, his feet, like, gave up out from under him. He was like, oh, my God, that went out. It was the farthest ball that I've ever given up by far.
That's funny because I added a question to our Q&A at the end. I was going to say, what's the farthest ball that going to hit off you? That's it?
That's the one I can remember, yeah. I did give up another one. There was a 3-0 count, and I grooved one in just to throw a strike, and this lefty did not take it. Well, he took it. He took it deep. He took me deep. Yes, that was at Clearwater Stadium, yeah. And then after, I just remember being in the clubhouse, and the coach said something like, no matter what, we don't groove fastballs, no matter what count. And I was just like, I think he's talking about me.
I think he's talking about me. About the Crookster right now.
Yeah.
All right, man. So we finished our second year of pro ball here. Strong numbers. Anything different in this offseason? Are you addressing anything, or same kind of?
Yeah, I mean,
back to the grind.
It's not like anything new was out.
Right.
It's not like, it's time. Let's try weighted balls or stuff.
Right.
It was nothing new. It was the same old stuff.
Were you training yourself weight-wise, or how were you putting programs together?
They gave us off-season programs to follow.
Packets, yep.
So I got a packet and followed that and added things that I wanted to do with it. And then you show up to spring training and there's tests. They test you. They test you. You have conditioning tests. You have strength tests, long jump, high jump. I mean, all this stuff, and they test you. So man, I wanted to come in and put up good numbers in my tests, So I worked my tail off in the off season, just like any, professional baseball player would.
Absolutely.
And, again, I went down there and I'm just like, all right, dude, it's been 2 years. You haven't moved.
Yeah.
It's time, and I was Still with the Yankees, and fortunate enough to get myself to Staten Island, and became arguably one or two starter in that club.
Yeah, strong year.
Yeah, the other starter was and if you look up his numbers, his name's David Phelps, and he got to the big leagues. I think he pitched maybe 3-4 years in the big leagues.
Yeah,
I think he was with Miami, I believe. But our numbers were identical. I mean, identical numbers. So it was a solid season.
Yeah. So sent to Staten Island Yankees. I have it as low A. Is that?
Yep.
Yep.
It's short season low A.
Oh, you were two teams.
There's three levels of A ball.
Right. Obviously.
There's short
low
season,
A,
there's
short
low,
season.
and there's high.
Right. Yeah. Did they recently get rid of one? I thought they did. Maybe I'm wrong. I know they've streamlined the minor league systems to some degree, but you've got 2008 here, your third year in pro ball, 22 years old, sent to Staten Island, 2.76 there, shoved, obviously playing well.
Yeah, decent year. Yeah,
feeling strong.
Yeah.
Then you got moved to the Charleston River Dogs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, River Dogs.
That
was low A.
Yeah. So not as strong there.
I'm not. What were the numbers there? Because I got traded halfway through the year.
That would have been. Oh, that's right.
And I was out of the bullpen that year.
The trade, yeah. So with Staten Island, 2.76. That's the Yankees in low A. Then to Charleston, 6.23. Only 4 innings there. So
okay, so I got brought up at the end of the year with them.
Okay. Right.
And then the next year is when I started out with them.
Next year is when you got traded.
Right. So I started out with Charleston the following year, and then was traded at All-Star break.
Right. What was your living conditions this year? Because I've really enjoyed hearing some of the guys there's sometimes they're host families, sometimes you're in crappy hotels, sometimes you don't know. You could have a weird host family.
Are you talking about Staten Island?
Yeah, let's say Staten Island.
Brutal.
Really?
Brutal.
What you got?
We flew in at night. Of course, we take a charter to the field, and we got to go check out the field. The lights are on. Statue of Liberty's freaking in the Hudson River.
Right.
New York City skylines. It was an amazing complex, dude. It's literally right on the water. It was a really cool place to play. But so we checked out the field, and everybody's like, and I'm thinking, all right, my career's starting now.
Yeah.
This is it. Like, I'm going to start now.
This feels like real professional baseball.
This feels like where I want. This is what I've been chasing,
There's crowds there. And
huge crowds there.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah,
they're
really
known.
big crowds there.
Yeah.
But then we get back on the bus, and we're like, all right, we're taking you to your living quarters. We drive to this college that's not – they're not in school. This is what time of year this would have been.
You're living in some dorms?
Living in some dorms, dude. I just remember getting dropped off at off the main road and having to walk. There's 30 dudes walking down this dark hill around these buildings with no idea where we're at, big trees around, and we're like, where are we going? and we got luggage, for like 6 months. Like, we got luggage it's our livelihood.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like we're just got a backpack.
Right.
We have tons of luggage. And then we get to this back door. Like, the only light on the building is this little light over the door. And it's like, all right, you guys are on the 3rd floor. And like, oh, great. Now we get to walk up 3 flights of stairs. Get up to this 3rd floor, and it's terrible. I mean, it's absolutely terrible. We open the door, like, here's your rooms. There's like 4 dudes living in a room. Furniture scattered everywhere, like furniture in the bathroom. The beds are like on their sides. Dressers out of place.
The glamorous life of a professional minor league baseball player.
Yeah, I don't think I slept very well that night. But knew that, like, hey, we're going to be at the ballpark most of the time. You know, so like,
sure.
And we're going to get there early because we ain't staying here much.
Yeah. And how'd you eat when you were like, not making a I mean, outside of your signing bonus, you're not making.
Nobody really took their vehicles there.
Yeah.
To Staten Island.
Okay.
So not a lot of personal vehicles.
Yeah. So the bus would just come get you guys?
Yeah, they had like some vans that come and pick guys up and take you to the field.
Yeah.
There was there's a few guys who had cars, so I usually didn't ride the bus. I hopped in with somebody, and we'd go to like some Italian deli, you know, where you can buy like a fresh sliced turkey sandwich and a can of Copenhagen in the same spot, you know, for like $29. And
that's great.
But yeah, there were some sushi spots that we went to. You know, we hit up some sushi spots, and the atmosphere at the games and at Staten Island were electric, man.
Yeah,
big
fun.
Crowds, light, you know, under the lights, skyline in the backdrop.
Oh gosh, that would have been so cool.
Really cool park.
Best experience playing in the minor leagues?
No.
Okay.
Charleston was.
That was cool?
Yeah.
Charleston was really cool?
Yeah, Charleston was sweet.
Okay, so that's where you got moved at the end of this year for a little bit.
Yeah.
So cool to be acknowledged within the organization for playing well and moved, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool, and it was a little taste of what, you know, hopefully next year would look like. And and, you know, that's kind of what happened. Same off season, came home, trained, worked hard.
Right. Where are you at mentally at this point? Are you feeling discouraged at where you're at? Like,
well, I'm coming off a pretty good year.
Right.
You know, and we went into the playoffs and made some noise in the playoffs, and felt like I played a big role. Like I said, I was arguably one or two.
Yeah.
And, you know, was anxious for next year. I was more excited for that year than any. I'm surprised my numbers sucked that bad. I didn't think I sucked that bad in Charleston.
Well, you're only there for 4 innings, so it's like, you know, one bad inning and you're
okay.
You're right, crazy, you know.
Yeah. So my next year in Charleston, I thought I threw pretty well.
Shoved, dude.
Yeah. To start the year,
2.25 in 44 innings. So
I had
shoving
good things going.
Yeah, absolutely shoving there, and then traded.
Yeah.
What's it like? So you go to Charleston. Back to Charleston. You said that was a great atmosphere.
Bill Murray owned that team.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. You got anything cool about that?
Yeah, I made Bill Murray laugh. I mean, he's one of like my favorite.
You talked to Bill Murray?
Oh yeah.
Oh, let's go. Come on.
Bill Murray was going through a divorce at that time, so he was at a lot of games, and he was not afraid of having a beer or two. But the story that I made him laugh, and I don't even think it's that funny, but he chuckled. So he was, you know, our bullpen was down the first base line. We were at home. Our home side was the first base dugout. So it's Wrigley Field style, right? You're sitting on a bench, and then there's kids literally right behind you, bugging you the whole game. So this is just another one of those nights, of kids bugging me for baseballs and autographs and all this stuff. And like there's like a little kid area kind of behind us, you know, and kind of look back there and like Bill Murray standing there playing catch with his son, and I'm like, Bill's in the house, you know, Bill's in the house. And this one kid starts talking. He's like keeps looking back at Bill and keeps looking back, and he looks at his friend. He goes, "Isn't that the guy from Charlie's Angels?" And I just started dying. I was like, of all the movies,
right? Charlie's Angels. That's the one you picked.
Legendary actors,
right?
So
Ghostbusters.
Eventually, like in between innings, you know, like somehow a conversation got sparked up with us and him, and we got talking about the Cubs. We know he's a huge Cubs fan, so you know he's asking where we're from, and I'm like, you know, I'm from Illinois, you know, big Cubs fan. He's like, oh, nice, big Cubs fan, you know, and I said, hey man, I got to tell you, one of these kids recognized you from, you know, what I thought was one of your best movies of all time. And he's kind of like looking at me playing catch. He's like, yeah.
He's like waiting for Caddyshack. Or
he's like, what's that?
Yeah.
You know, and I told him Charlie's Angels, and he just started chuckling. He's like, ah. But I was like, yeah, man, I made Charlie, you know, made Bill Murray.
Awesome.
You know, laugh.
All time. Cool. Bill Murray.
Yeah, he they had sumo wrestling in between innings. You know, they put those big costumes on, big padded sumos, and like two people from the crowd, and one guy knocked the other one down, and Bill sat like right by the dugout. He stands up in his seat and gets the crowd pumped up, and did like a belly flop from from the ledge, like jumped on top. I mean, he was a fun dude.
There's so many funny stories out there about this guy. And I mean, not only him as funny as, obviously he's amazing in movies, but just as a person, like a riot, and wild stories of him being funny with fans and just showing up places randomly and having a few beers, you know, having fun. And like, man, do you have a favorite movie of his?
Oh, I mean, Caddyshack's such a legendary one, man. That's a good one. Gosh, man. Yeah, I'd have to go with Caddyshack.
Big hitter, the Llama.
$100 slice in the woods.
All right, my man. Yeah, so we're getting traded this year. What is it like to be traded? Traded for Eric Hinsky, big leaguer. Take me through it, man. Take us through.
Yeah.
Let these people know what it feels like to be traded.
Well, it was definitely a wake-up call. No pun intended, because I literally got back to my apartment at like 2 a.m. from a bus trip. We didn't get back till late. You know, it was like an 8-hour bus trip. I get back, I go to sleep on my blow-up mattress on the floor, and at like 9 a.m. I get a phone call, and I'm just like, oh, what? Who is this?
Yeah.
And it was a number that I did not recognize. And for some reason, I answered it.
Yeah.
I was like, hello? You know, and it's like, hey, Casey, this is Brian Cashman, the New York Yankees. I'm like,
wow. Yeah.
oh, hey, yeah, Mr. Cashman.
Been up for a while.
Yeah, just got done with the run, and, you know, just getting my day started.
Doing my mental exercises.
Just got done meditating of how wanted to be a big leaguer. But, yeah, so Cashman woke me up early and told me, straight up, man, you've seen Moneyball, you know. I've seen it like 10 times. I love that movie.
Love it.
And straight up, he's like, hey, man, we just traded you to the Pirates. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, hey, appreciate all your time in our organization. Good luck to you. Wish you the best. All your informational, the clubby, whatever his name was, Brian or something. He's like, it'll be at the clubhouse. Just go to the field, and he'll tell you where you need to go. I'm like,
pretty accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
And then, my roommates eventually wake up, at 11 or 12, and they're like, and I'm like, well, see you guys. And I was like, I just got traded.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? I was pumped. I was like, oh,
okay.
Dude, fresh start, new organization. I'm like, this is perfect.
Well, obviously someone valued you too.
Yeah.
Watch you,
yeah. Somebody was interested in me. I'm like, perfect, man.
Yeah.
Packed my bags, left the field, started driving to Ohio. That's where I was. They were on the road, so I went to Ohio and met up with the team at the hotel and pitched that night.
You're going to be with the West Virginia Power, right?
Yeah, I shattered a couple bats that night. That was cool. Yeah.
And dude, you came here and shoved.
Yeah, I did.
1.17 electric. Like that's your best performance. 38 innings. Like, man, you had a good year.
Yeah.
Strong year here.
Solid year.
Yeah.
Yep. And I thought, and now I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling good about my career. I'm like, all right,
back on track.
Start off slow, but put up a really good year, good numbers, got somebody interested in me.
Yeah.
It's time to work even harder.
Yeah.
In the off season. But
and you're 23. You're not a spring chicken, but you're not 27.
Sure.
You still got time to figure it out.
Yep.
So what was that atmosphere like at West Virginia?
That's hard to explain.
Let's go, buddy.
That is a weird place. that is a weird place. I went from Charleston, South Carolina, one of the most beautiful places.
Yeah, historic.
To Charleston, West Virginia, and I'll just say that it was not one of the most beautiful places. It was an industrial city on the side of a mountain. Half the town was boarded up.
Yeah.
The stadium was old and raggedy, but I didn't care. I really didn't care. I lived in a nice apartment. It was like 40 minutes away, so it was a long drive. But I didn't care what it was like. I was like, dude, I don't care. I'm in a new spot.
Yeah.
I'm about to shove and move on and get the hell out of West Virginia.
West Virginia. What was it like coming to a new team in like the middle of the season and like was that?
Well, I'll tell you, the first day was not what I was hoping for. Man, I better not butcher this name. I'm trying to think of this dude's name. Calvin. Okay. All right. So, drive up to Ohio in my car, and then these guys have been on a road trip, so they already got their seats on the bus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the next morning, get up. Skipper says, bus time's at whatever 10 o'clock, 11, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Get on the bus. I'm like, I don't want to be late. I'm going to be the first one, So I get out there, and I'm like the second or third dude on the bus. Well, you can tell that, people have seats. They've been riding in this thing. They already got hours on this bus.
You get a Forrest Gump. Can't you sit here?
So I sit down, and I'm sitting in this seat, kind of three-quarters of the way back, and I'm, a couple dudes start walking up, and I'm just kind of, hey, how you doing? What's going on? They're kind of looking at me like, who the hell are you? Why are you what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And then this gigantic grown man walks by. His name was Calvin Anderson. He was about 6, 7, or 8. Big old first baseman.
Yeah.
Just a monster. And all I thought was in my head was like, I hope I'm not sitting in that dude's seat. Sure enough, man, dude walks on the bus. He's got his headphones on. He's just kind of chilling, walking through. Gets close to me and just kind of looks, sees me, and he's like, does one of those, like, shh. And I'm like, damn, I'm sitting in the seat.
Oh man, I'm messing up already.
Yeah. Long story. Well, it's not a long story short, but cool part of the story is Calvin and I ended up becoming like really good friends.
That's cool.
And we ended up rooming together in spring training the next year. And his dad was a legend in Pittsburgh, man. His dad was a Super Bowl champion for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Had a big old fat ring on his finger.
Oh,
and
there we go.
His dad was a cool dude. I can't remember his first name, but last name was Anderson. So
yeah,
look him up, Frank. I think Big Frank.
Big Frank.
Yeah.
Cool. But so things went well there. Obviously, you shoved there as well. A really strong season. Is the arm, I imagine by these numbers, arm's healthy.
Arm's healthy. Yeah, arm feels good.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing serious.
Yeah.
Nothing serious at that point besides getting hit with a line drive the last like 2 weeks of that year.
Okay.
But it, I was out for the last week and a half. They didn't try to bring me back because it wasn't my right arm, but the line drive hit me. I mean, I had these special pads they put on my arm. The trainer told me they're like $100 a piece, but I had to put them on my arm every day.
Yeah.
For the swelling and stuff, and so finished the year on the DL or whatever you want to call it. But still strong season. Knew I was like, hey man, I'm getting ready to start rolling through this thing, and reach the promised land.
Yeah.
Still far away, but I had a lot of confidence at that point.
Feeling like you're back on track.
Had a lot of confidence. Yeah.
But yeah. Got some momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Couple strong seasons here. A new club values you.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that Pittsburgh, the Pirates weren't necessarily the most upstanding organization. Were you already seeing things kind of fall in line with that when you were there?
Not so much when I was with in West Virginia, but spring training the next year is where
some Mickey Mouse stuff.
It was definitely, yeah. I went from Yankees treat you like a man. They're like, you're on your own, figure it out.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh kind of babied you.
Let's go right there. Let's go. Let's just assume was the off season pretty normal.
Yeah, same off season. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go then. Let's go right to spring training then.
Yeah, same type of setup.
This is going to be your final actual playing year in professional baseball.
Yeah. Typical spring training setup. Really nice complex. They had dorms on site, and you were required to stay there unless you were I think AAA or higher. I believe unless you were in AAA, I guess.
Okay.
You were required to stay there.
Okay. Interesting.
So, spring training, things were going well. Throwing well in the spring. Felt good about myself. I had shin splints like nobody's business. I had the worst shin splints I've ever had, and I think it was just from the cleats that I was wearing. I went down. I thought after that year that I had in West Virginia that I was going to get invited to early spring training.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, but I didn't care. I still went down anyways. I just showed up. I was like, I'm here. I'm done with Illinois right now. I need to get down in some warm weather and play, be able to play long toss outside and train outside. So I went down a couple weeks early.
Oh, cool.
On my own. Not a very comfortable feeling because I wasn't part of the invitees.
Yeah. So did you feel like you weren't welcome?
No, it's not that I wasn't welcome, but I wasn't quite included in their plan.
Yeah.
But didn't care. I really didn't care. I was excited to get down there and start.
Oh yeah.
So I went down early, and typical spring training. Had a good outings down there, and they sent me to Bradenton, which is right down the road from their spring training complex.
Yeah.
Bradenton is where the big league spring training is for Pittsburgh. Lived in a really nice. One spring training broke. Me and like 4 other dudes moved into a house in a gated community on the golf course and had a pool in the backyard. First night there, I caught an alligator with my bare hands.
What? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So there's a pond right behind our house,
Yeah.
And you know how it is. Like first time you go, you get into the house, it's like, all right, dude, we got to go to Walmart.
Yeah.
We need TVs.
Yep.
We need,
Things,
food. We need drinks. We need
Right.
all this stuff. So we go to Walmart, and I'm like, I'm getting a fishing pole, dude. I'm going to see what's in that pond. So I went out there, and I threw a line and first cast, I put a bobber on it like a rookie fisherman. I throw it out there first cast, and all of a sudden I see this thing like swimming from across the pond. I'm like, what the hell is that? And like as it gets closer, I'm like, that's a freaking alligator. Now it wasn't huge, it was probably like, I don't know, maybe 3.5 feet, and it snapped at the bobber.
Really?
So I was like, ooh, I could catch this thing. So I slid the bobber down by the hook, and I threw it out again, and it came after, and it snagged it under its scale. And, like, once that hook gets in that scale, dude, like, it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
So I pulled it in and threw a towel. I watched some animal shows. Threw a towel over its head.
Really? Like Steve Irwin did?
Yeah, it's an Irwin move, man. I threw a towel over its head, and it, like, calms him down, and I just freaking picked it up, and I actually brought it in our house, and, like, one of my roommates was in the room fighting with his girlfriend like he always did, and we kicked in the door. Me and like 3 other dudes kicked in the door. And we're like, and he like casually just turned over. He's like, "Get that gator out of here!" like it's happened to him before.
No big deal.
Yeah, we were gonna put it in the pool,
Gator
but we were afraid. We're like, dude, can gators
right? Not good for him.
Is it bad for him to like get chemicals? So we just threw it back in the pond.
Casey Erickson has caught a gator.
I got a picture with it. I'll show it to you.
I would love to see that, actually. That sounds awesome, man. Casey catching gators. No big deal.
Yeah.
Well, another strong year here, man. You got to be happy about moving up the chain. You're in high A now, right? So you some of your gripes have kind of been not progressing fast enough.
Sure.
So 3.38, 36 games, 80 innings pitched, 6-2. 6 starts, so I think a strong year overall, man. 65 Ks.
Yeah, respectable year.
Yeah, were you injury-free this whole year?
I was until the end, yeah.
That when it fell off?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Perfect. We're getting to that point. So your dad, multiple people mentioned this. I think your dad for sure did. I think it's in his quotes. We'll get to those eventually. But you were, and so did Roop, you were injured kind of at the end of the year, but you were afraid to say something.
Absolutely.
Like you didn't want to go to the training room and then they sit you down and then the next guy's up and then you're forgotten. Yeah. Can you elaborate on that, or is that kind of?
Yeah, it was weird. It didn't happen during an outing, or at least I didn't feel it. I was just playing long catch, and it felt like my shoulder slipped out. It wasn't like a loud pop, but I threw a ball and I felt really a feeling that I've never felt before in my shoulder.
Yeah.
And right after that happened, like my lat. All right, my lat, which is under your arm, I just had like this. It felt like a strain, like I pulled something in my lat.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think at the time that it was my shoulder. I was like, dude, I don't know, something's wrong. I'd stretch it and it hurt, and I'd ice it and I'd heat it and I'd ice it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I rode into the training room, and I was like, dude, something like I pulled something in my lat.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any pain in my shoulder.
Right.
But nonetheless, they, treated me, and they were like, look, there's a week and a half, 2 weeks left. They're like, let's not push this, So they just said, hey, finish here. You had a good season.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And then I went into the off season, and I took a little more time off than I usually did.
Yeah. And you touched on some of this.
I was
already.
trying to, recover from whatever lat injury I had.
In your heart, did you think something was wrong?
Not with my shoulder.
Okay.
No, not at that time.
All right.
That didn't kick in until I started to throw indoors in the winter.
And things weren't what they were supposed to be.
No, ball didn't feel like it was coming out the same. I didn't have like pain, but just didn't feel the same. Something was off, know. And at that point, I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? Go to the doctor right now and get an MRI, and they see that I have a torn labrum. I call Pittsburgh and I tell them, hey, my labrum's torn. They're going to be like, oh, well, see you later.
Yeah, thanks for the year.
You're 25 and you're in A ball, in hopes of going to Double A.
Right, and you're already not like a 95 velo guy.
No,
plus.
No, and they, it's every year new wave of players come in. So I was just scared to say something.
Yeah.
So I was like, screw it, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm just going to go down early again like I did last year. So I went a couple weeks early, got acclimated, had shin splints again. It was freaking terrible, the worst pain.
Couldn't get rid of shin splints. Interesting. Yeah.
Awful, dude. The worst pain ever. I mean, I would literally have my bare feet in a bucket of ice water up to my knee, just soaking them in ice water or in an ice bath because it was so painful. Sucked. Absolutely sucked. But spring training was different, man. I just wasn't throwing. I didn't have – something was missing, you know. But, again, I was just like, screw it. I'm just going to get through this.
You know,
gut through it.
Like you're a crafty guy, too.
Get
so
guys
you could
out.
probably still get guys out with lesser stuff.
And I did. I didn't get rocked in spring training.
Right.
I had a good spring training. I still got outs, but I knew my velocity wasn't there.
Yeah. Do you remember what it was?
I was probably 86 to 88. Yeah, it was down, you know. And first wave of cuts went through. They do two cuts. They do on the third week, and then the final cut's the fourth week. Made it through the third week, and I'm like, oh, I'll be all right. And then, you know, one morning, wake up, walk down from my or the dorm or whatever you want to call it, and, you know, walk into the clubhouse. And before I can get there, my pitching coach, Wally Whitehurst, was standing there from the previous year in high A. He was standing there. He just kind of looked at me, and as soon as I looked at him, I knew.
You knew.
Yeah, because he really I don't know if he stuck up for me or not. I hope he did, and I think I said that to him. I think I said something as we were walking back to, you know, meet my maker, and
you said Skip wants to see you, basically. Or
yeah,
whoever wanted to see you.
It was our pitching coordinator.
Okay.
It was the minor league pitching coordinator and the what do they call him? The head minor league coordinator? Is that what they call him? Two guys. Those two.
Yeah.
Two big dogs. You know, two big dogs. But there was no negotiating. You know, I knew it was what it was. You know, and he did say something.
What are you feeling in that moment? Just like walking to it.
Yeah, it sucked. I really just wanted to turn around and be like, I'm out. You know, I really didn't want to face it. You know.
Yeah, man.
It was an emotional time.
What a heavy moment.
I went back to my room and I was, you know, I went clean out my locker and said a couple goodbyes to some of the dudes, and they were kind of shocked. I mean, because there was another guy who didn't get cut, and I thought, you know, I was like, oh, surely this dude's getting cut. If I'm getting cut, this dude's getting cut
too. Yeah.
Well, the AA manager of the Pirates, where I was supposed to go, see if I get this correct. This kid, his name was Noah Kroll. His wife babysat for that manager's kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So guess who went to AA?
The connections.
That guy went to AA.
That's crazy.
And he's a converted submarine pitcher because he didn't.
So he was already on his last legs anyway.
He didn't. It was 2 months he got released.
Yeah. Man.
But you know what happened? They're sitting in that room and like, who you want? You want Erickson? You want Kroll? Oh. I'll take Kroll. I know him.
Can you tell me how that meeting went with those two guys when they set you down? Like what they said?
They said a couple things that I really don't want to share.
Okay.
I was shocked about one thing that they said.
Okay.
It kind of blew me away a little bit. But it was business, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, appreciate everything you put into this. You know, unfortunately, you know, we don't have a spot for you on double A. So we're going to let you go. You're too old to go back to A-ball, to high A.
Yeah.
You've already proved you can pitch there.
Right.
There's no point in going back there. So at that point I was just like, okay, well, is there anything I can say to change your mind?
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I'm injured. I just didn't want to say anything.
Right.
Because I was afraid this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And they just, you know, well, what's injured? You know, I said, my shoulder, man, my shoulder's messed up. Something's wrong, you know. But by that time it was too late. There was no like, oh, well, let's get you looked at. You know, that was off the table. It wasn't. So took it like a man, grabbed my stuff, went up, packed my stuff, headed to the airport, caught a flight. I think I caught a flight, or did I drive? No, I think I caught a flight because I flew down for spring training.
Okay, yeah.
Because then I was just going to have like my folks drive my car to me once I got put somewhere, which I thought was going to be in AA. But
yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, that's not it. We're going to talk some more. But, like,
well, that's my career. That's it.
That's your career. How are you feeling this moment, man? That's heavy.
It sucked.
Man.
It certainly sucked.
Gosh.
Coming off 2 good years, knowing that I was injured, knowing that I never got treated as a high-profile player. You know, at some point even though I did have a pretty good year, I was kind of fed up with, hey, man, I know you guys don't care about me.
The politics
I see
of it. Yeah.
I see it.
Right.
You know, I see you guys putting time in with this dude and that dude, and I'm already better than this guy, and I'm already better than that guy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to prove it. I'm going to put up better numbers than him. Like I said, I went back to the numbers game. It's like I'm going to put up better numbers than that guy. You can put in all the time you want with him, but I'm going to have a better year. So at that point, I was just like, whatever, man. I'm done. I'm done getting this treatment. I'm over it.
Yeah.
Like, it's time to start the next chapter in my life. And came home, obviously depressed, didn't want to go anywhere, didn't want to do anything for a few months.
The same thing, yeah.
Just kind of hid, you know.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Right.
Yeah, I mean, me and my wife spent a lot of time together and just, you know, we were talking a lot about a future and what we want to do and how many kids we want and all this stuff. And
so you're ready to hang them at this point? Was there any thought I'm going to fix my shoulder and I'm going to come back? Or no, you were like, this is it.
Yeah, no way. Yeah. No way. Just didn't ever feel not respected, but didn't ever feel like I was valuable, you know? So at that point, I was like, dude, I'm not starting over. Like, I'm going to start a family.
Yeah, ready.
I want to start a family and I got to find a job. I got to find a career. I got to do something. You know? I got to make money. And didn't watch baseball on TV.
Man, I went through the same thing.
Didn't care about. I didn't want to see it.
I went through all the same things.
Yeah,
it's
hard, weird, isn't it?
It's hard. Yeah, it's like you love something so much and you give so much to it, and it just says like, I don't love you back anymore. Like I'm done with you. Like it's a wrap, you know. And it's a weird relationship.
Jody Reed, who was my manager in rookie ball, he was a second baseman for Boston, which is kind of weird that they hired him to coach in the Yankees organization. But Jody Reed said something like that to the entire spring training roster that was out there.
Yeah.
He had everybody in center field. That was like how we started spring training. You had all the coaches out in center field, and some guys said their piece and all this stuff. And I'll never forget Jody Reed. He said, remember something, boys. You need this game. This game don't need you.
That's the dang truth, man.
And that sunk in, and I was like, I'm ready to rock.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm ready to rock. That fired me up. But, yeah, I'll never forget that from him, Jody Reed.
That you mentioned Moneyball earlier, and like there's that one scene in there that makes me cry every time when it's like the scout talking to Billy Beane when they're trying to sign him, and they're like, we all get told, you know, at some point that, you know, we can't play the kids game anymore.
Yeah.
Like some get told at 18, some get told at 40, but we all get told, man, that gets me every time. Gosh, it sucks taking off that uniform for the last time as a player. Obviously, you got to put it back on as a coach. So I remember we've kind of briefly discussed it outside of here, but you said it was a pretty tough time for you being done with baseball and trying to figure out what was next.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, baseball is so deeply ingrained in your DNA. It's who you are. So was there any thought of, like, I'm totally done with baseball, or did you think you were going to figure out a way to, like, get back in it in some capacity?
Yeah, I think my buddies were asking me to, like, play softball. They're like, dude, Crook can play softball now. Like, our team's going to be stacked. We're gonna be good. And I was like, I ain't playing no softball, dude. Like, I'm not ready for that.
Right.
You know,
because that's when you like are officially hung up.
Yeah.
You're done. That's like you're done.
Yeah, that's definitely the sign of it's over.
Yeah, it's over.
So I didn't want to play softball.
Yeah.
That year, the first year I got back. But you know, after a few months went by, I was like, dude, baseball. You know, what about coaching? You know, like I miss it. You know, and I called Tor, and I'm like, I'm ready to coach.
That's awesome. I love it.
He's like, for real? And I'm like, yeah, dude.
Let's go.
I'm ready. And he's like, hell yeah.
Yeah. I love
So
that.
I coached with him for 4 years, him and Jimmy Clayton and Jim Torselli and Tim Torselli. And
they talked about how amazing it was having you out there. Just like, man, it is awesome having a former pro as a coach on your roster. Like, just looking at him.
I think he really enjoyed having me. He knew I was a leader.
Yeah.
And now he thought, I think like he said, he's like, hey, this guy's going to bring a pro perspective to
so
our
valuable.
club.
So we had Eric Weaver when I was at Lincoln Land. Similar.
Oh, same thing. Yeah, same deal.
It was awesome.
Much better.
Oh my gosh,
much better pitches.
Man, he'd come to the back of the bus and tell stories. Weaver's story time was the best, dude.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I love that guy.
He is awesome.
Man, I thought about this when I was thinking about kind of how your career ended, and it's been really interesting to hear how all these guys' career ended. Like, some took it harder than others and whatnot, and like, I thought about this, and I obviously only got to play indie ball, so like a very the lowest level of professional ball, and like I was making $600 a month, whatever. But it was still the best time of my life.
It's the same thing, though, right?
Yeah, but
it's the same thing.
My point being is having baseball as a job is almost like it's not fair because once it's over, like as a player, like how are you ever supposed to love something like that again, job wise, right? Like I do the best I can with what I do, but it's not baseball.
No.
It's not strapping them up. It's not all the things baseball.
It's hard to fill that void, man.
It is, dude. Like how?
Yeah.
But you go on, do the best you can, and you're still around the game, and you're raising your sons. But there's something about playing it at the highest level that you can and getting to do it, and then it's over. It's just.
I'll say this, man, and it's. I'll say this at this point in my life. I'm enjoying coaching more than I did playing my last.
Really,
few years.
that's
yeah.
awesome.
My last few years
I love hearing
in minor league ball, even though it was professional baseball, and hey, that's great. No, not even close.
Really?
No.
That makes me happy, dude. Hearing that you're fulfilled.
I feel like
love it.
I'm so blessed and lucky to have this position that I'm in here at Glenwood, and I don't take it for granted, man. I put everything I got into it, and it's a full-time job. Back to my college nickname, but it's
full-time.
It's I'm so passionate about coaching baseball and these kids and Glenwood and everything. It's just like I'm really happy right now.
I love it. I love hearing that everything's come full circle for you here.
Yeah.
You're now the head skipper. At Glenwood, you took him to second state a couple years back. Lots of positive ahead. Taking over for the legendary Coach Moomey. You're in a good spot. I actually got to talk to Parker.
Yeah,
Parker. Detmer's here. So he's now this is obviously the wildly talented Parker Detmers of the Detmers family. He's at Louisville right now. Louisville, sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, don't mispronounce it.
I know, man. Spent some time in Kentucky. You cannot pronounce it wrong. Louisville. Actually, the more you say it, the more slurred it gets. Like,
yeah, it gets worse, right?
From really people that are in Kentucky, it's like Louisville. It's like, what did you say? It's not Louisville. It's Louisville.
No, it's not.
All my boys will back me up on that from Kentucky. All right, Parker Detmers.
This
Casey was well respected. He was tough on us, but wanted us to have fun. Perfect coach, players coach, let us have fun, but we were out there for a purpose, and that was to beat everyone. Practices were always great. We always had a bunch of fun. He brings a lot of energy. If you don't bring the energy, he is not happy. He wants you to match that. Wants to destroy everyone. One of the biggest competitors I've ever met. I've got a couple clips we'll play in a sec. Everyone respected him from playing pro ball. He knows what he's talking about. Played college ball, pro ball, the baseball family, knows a ton about the game. Casey gave me a ton of confidence. Showed me how to attack, let your stuff play, never put players down. This was cool. After big wins would come on the bus, like excited, like screaming, pumped up, like smacking stuff in the bus. Mm-hmm. And like he said that would just get the guys so fired up, and they loved that.
Oh, yeah.
I loved hearing that. Let me get to a couple quotes from this dude here. And I told him when I talked to him, I was like, I don't have players on here that are still playing because I want you to be done with your career and like look back on it and like the lessons and all that. But I was like, hopefully I don't talk to you for 20 years, man.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to see you in the big leagues someday. And then maybe if this is still going, I don't know.
I think it definitely will be going.
But I'd love to talk to him in like 20 years. So rooting for that guy. All right, Parker here. Let's say Parker on Casey being a mentor.
I would say Casey to me is definitely one of my mentors. I mean, he has helped me with the game of baseball. He's right there behind my dad, I would say. My dad, I mean, obviously, he's above everyone. He's taught me everything, but Casey's right there. He's taught me to be very confident in myself and just go out there. It doesn't matter who it is. Just go out there and be your best.
Parker on Casey being
cool, man.
Players coach. Yeah, it's cool hearing that from your players, right?
It's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, you could talk to him about anything. Like anything outside of sports or outside of baseball, you could talk. So it's like he was personable with everyone. I mean, and that's what you want with the coach. You want to be able to be more than just a coach. So
so he actually cared about his players.
Yeah, he cared about all of us.
Pretty cool to hear.
Yeah, that's
right?
cool, man.
Yeah. My man, that's so cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Parker's right, man. We talked about a lot of stuff besides baseball. You know how it is. You get a lot of downtime, and Parker's always gravitated towards Nino and I after he, did his workouts and open gyms or whatever it was. And, we'd cut it up, man. We'd talk about food. We'd talk about life, talk about family. We'd talk about future and
players coach.
Yeah, we talk about sports. I mean, he's a great dude.
Those are the special relationships, man. I've been through my coaches in my career, and the ones that I think back and love are the players coaches, the ones that were more than just a coach. I mean, some of them will separate themselves and they're just a coach. Yeah. And there's a line there. But the guys that you actually have a relationship with, a rapport you can talk to them about, those are the special ones. Those are the ones that I think back on in a warm way.
Yeah, so. I agree. I enjoy what I do, and and I want to have fun doing it, and I want the players to have the best experience here. Not only to develop into better ball players and find their way in their baseball lives, but definitely want to be someone that they can look to for advice or and if they need something or help something.
Yeah, and you are. I keep texting you about this. You're in here for the long haul, ideally. Yeah.
We'll see.
I would love if you were, like we've talked about. Our boys are like the same age, so like I want to be under the Crook umbrella. I'm insisting on it. I'm moving to Chatham for it. I'm not even gonna play like it's for school. It's for baseball.
It's happening. Well, I hope that I get that opportunity to coach them, because that means I'm doing something right.
You stuck around, you're doing something right. Yeah. Obviously, that's amazing. I would love to hear what is going on in your life these days. Like, what can you tell us a little about your family, your wife, your boys? Like, what's life like for the Crookster?
Yeah, Ashley and I live here in Chatham, and she's a nurse at St. John's, and she's very passionate about her job. She works really hard, and she cares about what she does, so that's really important for her. And we got 3 boys. We tried for the girl, the last one, and got another boy. So Cooper's my oldest. He's 9. He's on a really good baseball team that I coach. It's a 10U team, and we had a really, really fun summer last year. We played in like 8 tournaments. We won 5 of them. We got second in 2. Yeah. And played some really good competition and just had a fun summer, man. It reminded me so much of myself growing up playing ball. So cool. He's in a good spot with a good group of kids. I got some really good assistant coaches for that team, and so we spent a lot of time together with those families. Tripp is 6, going on 14.
Some great names, dude. Good choices there.
You like Tripp?
I do.
It's fitting for him. Tripp's like a man-child, dude. He's huge.
Your dad was saying he's going to be something special.
He's got some pretty good tools already for his young age.
He said he's like playing up, like years up.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with him last year because he was only 5 for tryouts. Yeah. And I didn't want him to try out for like an 8U team as a 5-year-old, especially around here, because I want him to play for the Chatham Braves. Yeah. Because I believe in keeping these kids together and getting good coaches in place and having them learn from and play with each other, growing up. And so I just kept tripping rec ball, and then somebody got injured on the 8-year-old team, so they called and said, "Hey, would Tripp like to fill in?" And of course he wants to. So I said, "Yeah, that's sure, no problem." Yeah. So he played like probably 25 games with them, and
how'd he do?
He did fine. He held
he
held his own.
Man, for a 5-year-old.
So he was 6 at the time.
Okay.
He turned. He was he was still 5 during tryouts in July 2 years ago. So he did that with that group. It's another fun group to be around. They got some good talent there. So he enjoys playing sports, and he's just a real friendly kid. Loves people, loves his friends. And then I got my youngest, who's about to turn 2. Mm-hmm. His name's Lane, and he's just such a enjoyable kid. If you're having a bad day, having a rough day, man, just go around here because he's just smiling, happy, loves on you. And he's just a great little kid. So we got 3. We're busy. I'm working for the Village of Chatham as a code enforcement officer. Yeah. And coaching high school baseball for Glenwood, and coaching youth baseball.
I love it,
and
man.
so you can find me on a field of some sorts, whether it's baseball, football, and basketball practice starts tomorrow night. So,
man, I love that there's just more Ericksons down the line, just continuing this Erickson-rich legacy of baseball around this area, man. So cool. Love it. Man, so we're close here to the end. We've got a baseball Q&A. I'd love to get, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to finish out my Bobby quotes here because I kind of paused them because they weren't like in the right place. But some of your dad quotes here, this is where we left off. I'll just rip through them. They're not going to be obviously going back. We've already gone through some of this, but I'll finish it. On game day when he was pitching, he was a different person, very quiet, had a routine, much different than when he played the field. Wanted me in a certain spot so he could see me pitching. Accurate?
Yeah, he's dude, we're so superstitious in our family. It's rubbed off on like all the players that I coach. It's insane.
Best inside pickoff move in the world. I absolutely agree with that. It was smooth, impossible to tell. It looked like he was going to the plate. He would signal between you and Hipke, hat tip. Picked off 11 your senior year. Rourke thought he could have been a big-time QB, Division I QB. Talked about the Wisconsin thing. Wanted to go play with his buddies at SCI and see if he could get drafted in a better position. Got to throw a BP session at Wrigley. Offered $40K to sign with the Cubs out of high school. Turned it down to go to SCI. Was very proud of you for calling Itch Jones yourself, U of I head skipper, and telling him that you weren't going there. He said not a lot of 18-year-olds would do that, and he was damn proud of you for how you stood up and you were a man in that moment. So cool. Your dad said he never punished you guys by running because he didn't want you guys to hate it. I loved that.
That's true. Yeah,
because I absolutely hate burpees because I've been punished with burpees my whole life in sports and stuff, and like I don't want to do them.
Yeah.
But I thought that was genius.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to teach kids that running is punishment or they hate it.
He's a smart coach, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved hearing more like the mind of Bobby on this. Was huge on a repetition with Diamond Kings, endless reps. Fun seeing all the things I taught him being passed down now by Casey in your coaching. A quote by Bobby, don't be afraid to hit it out of here. He says he hears you say it sometimes in games too, and like he loves hearing that kind of stuff. Tripp is a load. Watch out for him. He said, watch out for Tripp. Diamond Kings, every practice, we went over something until we got it right. We knew fundamentals deeply. Always ended practices with something fun. Now Casey does something similar, like rounders or something like that.
Yeah.
All 9 Diamond Kings had baseball offers to play in college. He was proud of that. Got about 80,000. We already talked about that. Held him in rookie ball too long. He was successful everywhere he went. We talked about the Hinsky trade. Shoulder needed to be worked on. Can't throw like he used to. Painful to watch him throw BP now.
That's true.
It was hard on Casey when his career ended, especially because he did so well and always won wherever he went. We've gone over that at length here.
Yeah.
All right, my man. You got time for my baseball Q&A?
Yeah.
We're already here, so let's finish it up. You've been awesome. I know when we first started talking about this, you were like, you think we can get this done in like a couple hours? I'm like, no, dude, we do not. And you've got a baseball journey. And, all right, we're here at our Q&A. All right, bud?
All right, let's do it.
Let's do the dang thing. Best baseball movie of all time.
Yeah, for sentimental value, I got to go Field of Dreams,
Can't beat it.
No, it's a great movie.
And we already said my little weird thing about Bobby. You guys being in Field of Dreams and Bobby's still making you chase the ball. Anyway, worst baseball movie.
Is Benchwarmers? Is that a baseball movie?
Terrible.
I
mean, it is, but it isn't.
I don't even know if you could pay me to sit there and watch it again. I saw it once. I don't think I made it through the whole thing. I was just like, what is David Spade doing in a baseball uniform?
Totally agree.
Yeah, that movie sucks.
Favorite baseball players growing up? Who'd you look up to?
King Griffey Jr.
Oh man,
I idolized
him.
Is he
the coolest player of all time?
Yeah, he was awesome. Kerry Wood. I was a Cubs fan.
Oh,
Kerry Wood. That was 20 strikeouts.
Man, that was cool. Him and Pryor, electric.
Yeah, Mark Pryor was a stud too.
Kerry Wood.
Probably Griffey, man. I just loved how he played, dude.
Forever.
Just had the confidence and just looked effortless. Everything
the coolness,
effortless.
The swing, the backwards hat, the bubble gum. I don't think there's ever been a more cool player that guys emulated. Wanted to be like everyone did the Griffey swing and BP. Trying to do the Griffey swing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you already answered it. Favorite team growing up? Cubbies.
Cubbies.
Yep. Favorite bat model? Let's go metal and. I mean, I guess you didn't have a lot of I mean, did you
I didn't
do
get to
some
swing
with?
a lumber, but I got a collection of bats. There's no doubt. I got bats from like some of the guys that I played with. I got bats from my brother when he was playing. So, Louisville Slugger, Louisville Slugger, old, what, tan, I guess you call it, tan.
Natural finish.
Natural finish, natural finish. I like the cup end. And for metal, I'm gonna go Easton Secor.
Oh boy!
Or the Air Attack. You remember the Air Attack?
Yeah, I do.
Had like a pillow inside of it.
It
like
did.
it
was like a
dude.
Some sort of a air bladder inside of it.
Yeah. That's a good way. It was like a fucking bladder, dude. I just remember balls just flying off the bat.
Oh man, yep.
It's probably where my 8 home runs came from.
Who did you? Okay, outside of Corey, we already established that. Did you look up to anyone locally? Any baseball players around here?
My uncle Roger. I mean, I obviously looked up to him. Ryan O'Malley was one that I really was inspired by.
Sure.
I was a little older when that happened, but Ryan O'Malley was. Let's go with that.
Did you try to? This might be Roger again. Mechanics that you tried to emulate. Was there any pitcher that you were like?
No, not really. Not at a young age, anyways.
Okay.
I was really good at it. My friends would say this too. I'm really good at like emulating people. Like if I see somebody swing, I can like
do it.
I can do it. I can at least look like I'm
like
doing
the batting stance guy.
Yeah.
Like that?
Oh, dude. Yeah. Who's this?
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that stuff.
I don't think I really like looked at somebody as a pitcher in the big leagues, and I was like, I want to look like that when I throw.
Yeah.
It was more like Roger and my dad telling me, like, get your knee up, reach out, stuff like that.
Sure.
So,
best baseball video game of all time.
RBI 93.
Man, for Sega?
Great game.
Yeah,
Man,
I had that game too. Yeah, I love
MLB
these.
was when the MLB came out too. That was cool because I remember like laying on my bed late at night with a dip in, like playing this game till like I couldn't keep my eyes open.
Yes. Oh yeah, man.
The big ones.
All right, best things to do on bus trips in the minors.
Gamble.
Anything particular, like cards or dice?
Euchre, spades, in between the sheets. Just always had to keep a bucket. Everybody put. Hey, don't put that bucket underneath the bus. We gotta use it as a table. And you never wanted to sit. You didn't want to sit in this. You always wanted to be in the back section, and the bucket's in front of you, so you don't have to turn around and put your card on the table and stuff. But we had some big money games that ended up carrying over from the bus to the hotel. Once we got to the hotel, it's like, hey, still got $500 on the table. We got to play. We got to finish this out.
What intro music did you use when you were in minors?
Metallica.
Some particular song?
I don't remember particularly the song.
That gets you fired up?
Yeah, I loved Metallica. They're my favorite band.
I'm riffing here. You mentioned that you really enjoyed Tupac growing up. Do you have a favorite Tupac song?
Picture Me Rolling is one that I love.
Man, you can't beat that.
No, that's
can't beat it.
Probably number one. Yeah.
All right. I put Where Did the Knuckle Curve come from? Did that come from Raj? When you were like,
what? I don't know. I think my dad. I know my dad talked about that a lot, and like I told you earlier, it's just kind of a safe way to begin to throw a breaking ball and to understand how the rotation comes out of your hand and how to throw it. So it's just kind of a safe way to do it.
Yeah.
At a 12-year-old age.
Best memories of Erickson baseball school.
Probably the commercials my sister and brother and I did. Trying on glasses and stuff, some corny commercial. But
great.
Yeah, I have great memories of Erickson baseball school. I mean, Pudge was so cool to me. He used to get me like the coolest like Christmas gifts. He'd like get these little wind-up toys that like nobody, little wind-up feet that just like like walked across the table. He was just like such a character to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that was just cool for him to have those businesses and us to be kind of a part of it.
I've noticed some Erickson boys wearing the number 19. Is that a family number?
Yeah. I don't know who started it. I know Raj wore it. I know my dad
pictures of Corey.
Yeah, Corey was 19 and 25. Those were the
pictures of you two wearing it.
Yep, 25 and 19. But I couldn't tell you who was like the first one. I know great uncle Don. I don't think he was 19 with the Phillies.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that came from, but it kind of stuck.
Did you feel pressure to be successful in baseball because of your family name?
Sure. Yeah. Of course.
Right.
Of course.
Well,
good pressure though.
Would you feel like your boys are going to feel the same?
I hope they don't. I hope they don't.
But they will.
But they probably will. Because I'm pushing them. I'm pushing them and I'm coaching them, and they know I coach high school baseball, and
obviously
that's such a great experience. And like I told you before, man, I'm so blessed to have this job and to be able to coach at Glenwood.
Yeah.
My kids get to experience all this stuff too.
So cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever wish you'd signed out of high school?
No.
Okay. Best teammate.
Best teammate?
Yeah.
God, dude, how am I supposed to answer that?
You're right. That's broad. We can skip it if you want.
I'm going to answer that in levels. Okay. So I'm going high school. I'm going Brad Rupert, Bones. Bones was my best friend growing up. Jimmy Clayton is a close second, but I got to go with Bones. College, Travis Myers. Pro ball, Dan Brewer.
Love it. Where does Bones' nickname come from?
He's really skinny. Yeah,
skin.
Yeah, skinny dude.
All right, favorite ballpark songs. The ones that they just play all the time. Like
favorite?
Yeah.
Oh God. Favorite ballpark songs. It's not the seventh inning stretch. I don't enjoy that.
I mean, like Put Me in Coach, like something like that.
Yeah.
Like those kind of things, or like just ones they always play.
Yeah, not Sweet Caroline. I know.
Oh, that's so I sent this to the Crookster. I send all this stuff beforehand so they can kind of look at it.
Yeah.
And I did not specify that I didn't need him to fill it out. I just wanted to look at it. So he filled out all these and like sent it back to me. I was like, oh gosh, dude, I'm sorry if you spent like hours on this. You're like trying to get this done. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Baseball song. Probably like what's the song with like Sandlot? Like Wipeout. That song always like takes me to Sandlot for some reason. But there's a couple songs in Sandlot that really
like the song where they're like riding up on the bikes, like
yes.
Oh man, I think it's called like Fried Green Tomatoes. Actually, if you look it up, it's amazing.
That's a cool one. But like, I got worn out on the ballpark songs, dude.
Yeah.
They
play them so repetitive.
A lot of corny ones, and they're the same every place you went. You're just like, oh my god, please stop.
I could be center field. I've heard it. Most talented teammate or teammates that never got to play pro ball.
Oof. Wow. Teammates. I mean, Travis Myers comes to mind. Travis comes to mind. Jimmy Clayton does too.
Yeah, I think Jimmy could have for sure.
I'm trying to think because I never played with Billy, so I can't say Billy. I never played with him. He was a year
Travis
out.
and Jimmy's good answers. Yeah, for sure. What about glove of choice? What were you? You loyal to anything?
Heart of the Hide, Rawlings.
Dude, me too.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
I love Heart of Hide. I just recently bought. So I have this. I've got all these gloves from when I play, but I wanted a new glove.
Yeah.
For like when I start like throwing with my kids.
Yeah. What'd you get?
It's a new old glove. It's like it's a Rawlings Heart of the Hide Pro 1000 BC, which is like an 11.5 basket mesh back. It's very close to the same glove my dad had when he first started playing catch with me.
Cool.
So I wanted something close.
Very cool.
And just something to break in with them that was new, So I'm pumped about it. I love the natural finish.
I need a new one too. But Heart of the Hide is for me it's the best. But you know what's weird is like every time there's always like a code, with gloves and other players like don't put your hand in my glove.
Right.
But I always remember like looking at other infielders' gloves and stuff, and I always thought they were so much better than the ones I had. I'm like, dude, this glove's awesome, and it's broken in better than I would be able to break it in. For some reason, I always felt like that.
All right, funniest teammate.
Dan Brewer's hilarious. I played with him with the Yankees, and he's one of my best friends. He's hysterical.
Dan Brewer. Most talented teammate you ever played with? Just like the guy that just had like wild talent.
Probably Starling Marte.
Oh wow.
Yeah, probably.
In the Pirates organization, you got to be with him for a little bit.
Yes.
Just crazy tools. Just like what?
Unreal tools, unreal bat speed and pop. Just a unbelievable sense of balls and strikes, and just a freak athlete in the outfield. I mean, just like scaling walls and jumping around like
crazy.
He was a stud.
You knew he was different.
Funny story, real quick. First home run he ever hit in pro ball was for the West Virginia Power. We're down like 8-2 in the 8th inning.
Yeah.
He hits a bomb and he puts he rounds first. He's got both arms up over his head like fist pumping. And we're down 8-2. And like
he didn't quite get the etiquette
dude
yet.
had the biggest smile. Marte was just so giddy.
Yeah.
He gets in the dugout, and like, you know, the other Latinos, you know, they're fired up, like, let's go, you know. And he gets down, and then he walks down to the gets about halfway in the dugout, and his hitting coach is standing there, and he like stops, and he's right in front of his hitting coach, and I just watched from a distance, and I just saw this huge smile, and then it just slowly
evaporated.
slowly started to go down because you see the coach like shaking his head.
He realized
like,
maybe
you don't do that when you're getting beat.
Yeah, part
by
of the game.
6 runs in the 8th.
Yeah,
and he was just a kid, man.
Sure,
he was probably 19.
Hey, you live and you learn, man.
Yeah,
but you can't get mad. I mean, it's like I see both sides of that. There are parts of the game. There are codes, and there's also like a young kid hitting his first bomb in pro ball. Pretty cool. Like,
yeah,
I get it on both ends of that.
Yeah. And he's an all-star. He's been an all-star.
He did
before.
okay. He did okay. Yeah,
yeah.
I think he's still in the show.
Yeah, he's with the Mets.
Yeah. Best coach or manager you ever played for?
Best coach or manager I ever played for. Wow. God, I've had a lot of good ones, man. And
why don't you just name a couple of good ones?
Yeah, I mean, Pat Moomey's a hell of a manager. I mean,
how could you not?
It's hard to top him. You know, he's probably, you know, if he listens to this, he's probably going to laugh and be like, "You're an idiot, Casey." But it's true, man. I mean, the guy knows the game. He knows when to make a move, when not to make a move, and how to manage to win. I did have a funny coach in West Virginia. Can't remember his last name. First name was Gary, but he was a piece of work. He's the manager that comes, you know, after the game with his pants unzipped, halfway, you know, hand down his pants, you know, shirt off, like telling us how much we played like a bunch of skirts.
You lollygag.
Yeah. He's got a dip in, and he's spitting in the trash can and just telling us how bad we suck.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm going to go with Pat Moomey and my dad, man, and Steve Torselli and Dan Rourke. I mean, these guys that shape me. I really believe it.
I love it. Hardest year in baseball?
Oh, second year of professional.
Yeah, most frustrating for you?
Oh, yeah, not even close. Yeah.
Okay. We already talked about it, but the question is actually, was Brian Pinkstaff the wildest teammate you ever had?
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah, he was up there, dude. He had his quirks, man. I mean, he was set in his ways.
Man, all right. Do you have any regrets? Anything you would have done different in your pro career?
No. You know, you live and you learn, man. I can't say that if I could rewind time, I would have done something dramatically different.
Yeah.
You know, I might have handled a situation or two differently, or reacted differently in a certain situation, but nothing that stands out that like affected my career that I would have a regret of doing or not doing.
Yeah, cool. Was there any experiences in the minor leagues that were particularly important for you? You feel like? I know it's kind of a broad.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm trying to think here.
That's a hard question to answer, man.
It is, yeah. That's. I mean, it's a good, it's a good question. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Favorite field or stadium?
Yeah, favorite place I played was in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yep.
It was just it wasn't anything special about the field. It was just a nice complex, but the crowds were really big, and they really had a great atmosphere there. Staten Island was really tough to top too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll go with those.
Most fun year in baseball.
Most fun year in baseball?
Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be in high school, man.
Which year? In particular?
I'm going to go with my junior year. I mean, we made a deeper run in the postseason, and you know, and had some crazy games. So I'm going to go with that.
Most memorable game you ever played in, or best game?
I guess I'll go with the Crook game.
The Crook
game.
game.
Everybody else says that, so yeah.
Any pregame rituals or superstitions?
Yeah, nothing specific, but I was very routine, you know, so I do things, you know, very repetitively, you know. I was very, very repetitive, but nothing like specific. Like I wouldn't do anything
weird. Yeah.
Like nothing like Moises Alou or anything.
Pissing on his hands.
You know, yeah, I didn't do anything like
that. At what age did you first truly believe that you could play pro ball?
I always believed it because it was common in the family, you know. So I was just like, man, this is just what we do, right? We go play in high school and college and get drafted and go play. So yeah, I always felt like I would even at a young age. But you know, you go ask a 10-year-old right now, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? They're like, I want to be a professional baseball player. So they're believing it too.
Yeah.
Reality was my junior year.
Junior year.
Yeah.
I guess I already asked, what was it like when baseball ended? We talked about that. Do you have any advice for like a 12-year-old that's like falling in love with the game and similar to that wants to be a pro baseball player, just like a quick something?
Have fun, dude.
Yeah,
have fun playing
enjoy
the
it.
game. Enjoy the game. Don't be so hard on yourself. There's always tomorrow.
Cool. I'd love to go a little bit through your process of how you attacked hitters, like what you were trying to do. You talked about if a guy was up on the plate, you were like, okay, I'm gonna take back that part of the plate. Like, how were you processing hitters coming up if you didn't have a scouting report on them?
Okay, so right-handers, I would, like I said, I like pitching inside, so I'd usually try to run a fastball in on them, see how they reacted to that. If they, you know, had a bad swing, missed it by a lot, took it, stepped out, didn't like it, you know, I could always come back in with that. Or I could throw a breaking ball at them and buckle their knees.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and if it's at that point, if you're at that point with 2 pitches and they didn't look good on either of them, well, you know, I'd usually just try to blow some gas up top.
Yeah.
You know, old school, burn one up top, you know, 2, and then bury a breaking ball low and away. I mean, but yeah, I mean, each hitter will tell you, you know, I mean, you'll learn from their first at bat. You'll learn what to do next time or what not to do, just like you would if, you know, at the other end of that.
Yeah.
But like I told you before, like normally if a guy came in and stepped in close to the plate, that tells me that they wanted to get extended. So what I would do is not let them get extended. I would go hard in on them.
Take it away from them.
If they stood off the plate, that would tell me they liked the ball in.
So you keep it away.
So I'd try to keep it away. Left-handers, I'd always, for some reason, I'd always try to see if they can hit my 2-seam or my 4-seamer on the outer half.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because both of them had movement and sink.
Yeah.
And I'm like, prove that you can hit that first.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if a guy stepped up and went line drive to left field, I'd be like, okay, well, I can't do that anymore.
Right.
But until you prove that you can hit that pitch hard, I'm going to feed you that until you prove it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I use my changeup a lot more against lefties than I did righties. And then with when I got 2 strikes on lefties, I like throwing the breaking ball under their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And right-handed or left-handed, I always enjoyed moving some feet. You know, I
love
always
it. A little dancing feet.
I don't. My uncle and my dad always told me, he's like, don't let anybody be comfortable in the box.
I love that.
Don't let them get in there and be comfortable.
Pay attention right now, young guys. This is high-level baseball talk. I'm serious. This is the real stuff. People need to hear this.
Like I said, man, each batter's different. Each situation's different to attack them. But I like to work quick.
Yeah.
Keep my defense alive.
Were you still dropping arm angles in pro ball, or did you give that up?
No.
You give that up?
Oh, yeah.
I remember you said that was kind of gimmicky.
Yeah, I don't even think I was doing it in college, really.
Okay. Just the high school?
Yep.
I remember you doing it and being like, what a jerk. Why is he doing this right now?
That's why I did it, man. What a jerk.
Like, why you got to do that, man? Like, you're already –
You already got enough 3/4 done.
Come on,
why
man.
you got to
like,
drop down
hey,
further?
I'm having a hard enough time already.
I just, you know, it was like a sidearm deal. I just kind of whipped it. I 2-seam grip, and I just whip it in there and watch the ball move, and just something else for them to see.
It was a change of your release point that I felt like was really throwing me off, more so than like the actual movement of the. I mean, this was like years and years ago, but I just remember being like, oh, this. I'm looking for it here, and all of a sudden, it's here, and that can just be disorienting.
But like you just said, it put it in your head. You knew, oh, okay,
now
I got something else to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so
it's the chess match.
Yeah.
Recommendations for someone trying to build arm strength.
Long catch, long
now,
toss.
different. There are different. People look at long toss differently. Were you like airing it out, or were you like, you know, some organizations only let you go so many feet and different.
Definitely had some restrictions in pro ball, but not in high school and college.
Would you let it go?
I would on day. It just depends on what the day was, when my start was. If I just threw, obviously I'm not going to go out the next day and you know, try to throw it over the fence.
Yeah.
But within reason, you know, you don't want to throw the ball straight up in the air to get it as far as you want.
Right.
You want to keep it on at least a decent plane. But yeah, I mean, put some air under the ball and get your body into your throw. Work on finishing, work on your release, and build that strength. You know, break down, build it.
Yeah.
You know, and so definitely long toss. You definitely need a strong lower half, right? Flexible hips, strong lower half.
Yeah.
Forearm strength's important, hand strength's important.
Sure.
And I always did a lot of small weight workouts with my shoulders, you know,
Mm-hmm.
a lot 5-pound dumbbells, doing a lot of T's, Y's.
It's not the sexy stuff, but it's the stuff that needs to get done.
No, it's not. Yeah,
Right?
it is. It's just protect yourself.
Yeah.
It protects your shoulder, and
Sure.
it's a lot. It's important throwing. So,
What are you most proud of in your career?
most proud of in my career. Not anything in particular, man. I'm proud that I didn't give up in pro ball.
Yeah.
You know, even though wasn't going as well as it was, I could have just walked away from it. But I finished it out, you know, and you know, still felt like I could continue to play.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of being, you know, and it's not an act I put on about being humble. I mean, I'm truly feel like I'm a pretty humble dude. And
Yeah, absolutely.
that might have hurt me actually as far as professional baseball goes, because most of the guys where I were around were really selfish. And there's a lot of selfish dudes in the big leagues because it's all about me. It's all about me.
Right.
And me growing up, I didn't make it about me. I made it about my teammates and getting the win. You know,
That is weird, almost how that kind of like selfish mentality can be kind of beneficial in baseball sometimes in like a weird way.
You have a lot of people in the big leagues who might not have been the most, not friendliest, but you know, personable dudes. Probably. It's a lot of time on your own.
Yeah.
You're working a lot on your own, perfecting your own craft, and
The path to the top is lonely.
yeah,
Sure, you spend a lot of time by yourself.
Yep.
Practicing, absolutely.
So, proud of the friendships I had, proud of being humble, and proud of, you know, trying to leg out the end of my career.
I'm excited for this next one. Favorite local players around here that you like to compete against coming up?
Yourself is one, right?
Sure,
I mean,
but let's.
sure.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about me. Let's talk about some other guys.
You were definitely someone that we knew about in every sport we played. You know, we knew because you were always like a real physical dude, and you played extremely hard. You know, you dove headfirst into bases, you dove in the outfield, you ran the bases aggressively. You know, you battled at the plate. You were a strong dude, so you were always on the radar. Like, hey, don't let this dude beat us today.
Appreciate that.
Another dude that I played with or played against.
I'm excited about this one.
Travis Seifert.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about him. I am. That's what I wanted to get to.
Dude, Travis is my boy, and like for some reason, man, like he'd get in the box and we'd both start laughing.
Really?
He'd look at me and smile, and I'd look back. And
I didn't realize you guys were close like that.
son of a gun.
Interesting.
We're not like super tight, right? We'd run into each other in college at parties and stuff, and we'd run into each other and just get good laughs out of each other and stuff.
He's hysterical.
He's just an easy dude to get along with,
Yep.
And he's a solid guy.
Awesome guy.
I saw him this summer and it's been a long time since I've seen him. I saw him this summer, but I always enjoyed playing against him because I was friends with him, and I didn't have a lot of friends that I played against.
Right.
I treated everybody like an enemy.
Yeah,
you know,
that was more the code back in the day.
That was the code.
Yeah,
we
it's
weren't
not the LeBron and friends with everyone thing.
No. So,
right.
Travis was fun to compete against. Yeah,
and I would love to say this about Travis is he doesn't get his due as like a guy that was really good.
Yeah, he was.
And I always thought of him as like he made some like Spider-Man plays at shortstop, wildly athletic, fast, good arm, a good hitter, tough
out, dude.
Tough, man. Like he battled and he played hard and like
I bet I had so many 10, 11 pitch at bats with him. He just wouldn't go away.
Yep.
And all he really had to do is if he put a ball on the ground, it was going to be close because dude he could move.
He could fly, yeah. And he ended up going to Parkland for a year, came back to Lincoln Land, and that was when I got to be a teammate with him, and I really appreciated just the guy he was, his work ethic. He ended up blowing his shoulder out too, and he never played past Lincoln Land, but I always thought this was a guy that had the stars aligned, could have played some D1 ball somewhere, kept playing, but really solid, really good baseball player, great guy. I'd love to give him a little shout out. So I got your back, Syph.
Yeah, his boys are going to be studs too.
Man. Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, he's got one in high school, in a Parker maybe or something. That
Parker,
really
I think's
good.
the oldest one. I've seen some football highlights.
Yeah,
man.
I've seen those too.
He's going to be lighting up the highlight reel at Rochester soon.
Shout out to Syph.
Yeah.
All right. Are you recognized when you go out? Like, do people? Is that a weird question?
No, not really. I don't know. I mean, I think people probably recognize me more now because of coaching. You know, it's more of a position, you know, where they're like, oh, that's that's the Glenwood coach.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's good recognition or bad, when somebody's like, oh, that's the Glenwood coach.
Yeah.
You know, we're not all about that, but
yeah,
a little bit, you know.
Okay. Have I told you my Corey Erickson story about that?
No.
Man. So I grew up, you know, thinking I looked up to your brother too. About 4 years ago, I saw him at Walmart, and obviously this is before any of this happened. Like, he didn't know who I was from Adam.
Yeah.
And I think I'm in my firefighter uniform. I'm not sure. Maybe I wasn't, but I came up to him. I turned 39 tomorrow.
There you go.
I was like 35 or whatever, and I came up to him. I was transported back to being 10. I was like, "You're Corey Erickson!" Like, I came up to him like excited, like golden retriever excited, like wagging my tail, and he looked at me like, what the heck is going on right now? He wasn't rude or anything, but he was just like, yeah.
Caught him off guard a little bit.
Yeah, like, I'm just trying to get some groceries, you know? Like,
Walmart's you guys' spot, dude.
I know. So then this last time, I joked with him that he big leagued me back then.
Yeah.
And that this last time I saw him, I was like, I'm not letting you big league me now. You're tapping me up. So, yep. I just wondered if you, we were like, oh, you're Casey Erickson.
Yeah. No, I don't get that.
What do you miss most about the game? We're getting close here. I know you guys, we've been sitting here for a while. What do you miss most about the game?
Competing.
Yeah. Playing. Yeah. Face one batter with your best stuff all time. You could pick Mickey Mantle if you want. Who are you facing?
Juan Soto.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm dropping him.
You don't like all those antics?
No.
Not feeling them?
No.
We used to do a little shuffle.
Him or Yasiel Puig too. Him and his bat, his licking the bat. Yeah, I would definitely.
Not feeling that?
No.
All right. Best baseball book you've ever read, if you've read any.
Josh Hamilton book was really good.
That was good.
That was a really good book. I didn't know all that stuff about him. That was hard to believe. And that dude.
Man, he's been through some things. Crazy things, yeah.
That was a book that I read. Another baseball book? God, I don't know if I've read too many of them, too many baseball books. I don't read anymore. I used to read when I was playing because we just had so much time on the bus.
Yeah. Got your hands full these days.
Yeah, I read a cool one about, gosh, what was that dude's name? Here we go, names.
Come on, Bobby.
Yeah, it was so the guy was a former professional baseball player turned first base coach, and he's the reason he got hit in the head with a line drive.
Oh, Chris Coolbaugh.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a book about him.
Yeah,
and
I
now,
never read it myself. I want to.
Okay, so now the base coaches wear helmets.
Yeah.
Okay, and I read that book. That was pretty cool.
Okay.
Kind of sad too. I mean,
put
really
that
sad,
on my radar here. Any dumb traditions in baseball you wish would go away?
Dumb traditions?
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned like the seventh inning stretch.
Yeah. You could do without it.
Yeah, dude. And I'm a Cubs fan.
What's the
but
point? Yeah.
I hate the song they sing after the game. It drives me nuts. I can't stand it.
All right. Yay or nay? Pimping home runs.
I don't care.
Celebrating strikeouts. Just don't care either way.
I don't care. I mean,
like,
it's gonna happen either way.
Do you let your kids do that? Like your high school kids?
No.
No, ain't doing that.
No. No. I actually when guys hit balls that look like are going out of the park, I don't watch them. I watch the player.
Really? See what they're doing?
Yep.
Man, it is different than we came up. Like, I see videos now of these like 12-year-olds doing like a whole dance routine after a home run and like ripping everything off, and their whole team is geeked up, and it's like first inning, and it's like,
my dad always taught me. He always said, "Don't act like you've been there before, or act like you've done it before."
Yep. Perfect time. And you got any more Bobbyisms?
Oh God. Oh, never lose to a team in green. Never lose to a team whose third base coach has change in his pocket.
What?
Never lose to a team. Never lose to
I'm
a team.
not even going to ask more on these. Just
never lose to a team whose coach is wearing jean shorts.
Some shorts.
Never let a team see you sweat. Never let a team think they got the best of you. no bush league. That's all I got. Yeah.
Man, there's a picture of you guys when you gave me all these pictures to thank you of your like time back in the day, and there's a picture of Bobby in there with like those old school coach like baseball pants on, you know, where they're like
they're cut off and hemmed, man. And they're like they're like the short shorts the kids are wearing right now.
Would you bring them back?
Me?
Yeah.
No. I don't have the leg. My dad's got he's got good running legs. I don't have those legs. Yeah. No way.
As a coach, what's your balance? We're almost at the end here. What is your balance between trying to win and trying to develop players?
Development is practice. Winning.
Games are for winning.
All that matters when a game goes is winning.
Love it. That's it. Would you change anything about the game to make it better?
No, not. And we're talking about major leagues.
Sure. I mean, that's where it all kind of comes from, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah. I was kind of like really weirded out by the pitch clock.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think once we get used to it, I think it's gonna be a good thing.
You're for it? Yeah.
I am for it, and I'm not a player now, so I don't have either way for me. But I don't like when guys take so long to get in the box.
Yeah, sure.
Or pitchers take so long. I mean, there's guys that are closers that were just 30-something seconds in between pitches. It's just like, dude, throw the ball.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for baseball. I know it's kind of complicated right now and it's weird, but I think eventually it's going to be just normal. And obviously, I enjoy not seeing pitchers hit anymore.
Yeah.
That was just
right. Like why? Why did they drag that out for so long?
I don't know.
And why was there one league with DH and one not? It made no sense.
I don't know. I don't know why they did that, man. Isn't that weird? Like, why did the National League not adopt that at the same time as the American League?
I mean, it's so obvious that once you get to the World Series, like the American League had an extra hitter that was a bopper, and the National League had to pull someone off the bench. So, like, how is this?
Yeah, so I'm glad that's done. And then the shift thing, I mean, just as a pitcher, I didn't play and have shifts put on, but I can only imagine, like, your shortstop playing up the middle and the guy hits a ball right at the shortstop where he's supposed to be playing for a hit. That would really infuriate me.
I hate the shift.
So I'm now that they've kind of put the line in the middle of the field, it's like, okay, I'm good with that. But man, the game's there's a lot of good things about it right now.
Love it. Man, you have lived quite the life. The baseball life here, my man. We're at the end. We're at the very end of this. This has been awesome. Yeah, like I say this to all these, like some of these guys have been like my boys before we did this. Like Aper, O'Malley, Jason, like I knew these guys, but like Bensko, PJ, Jay, you, I didn't know these guys. And like, I'm just going to say it. I think me and you are boys now.
Yeah.
You spend 5-6 hours talking baseball.
Yeah.
We're boys now. It's official. It's official. Thank you for being so awesome. It's been so cool to get into the mind of you and hear what your thoughts were on your career and baseball is coming up and all these things and hearing these inside stories and getting all your boys involved. Like, awesome, right? Like getting the Diamond Kings, your dad, all these guys, like you just
it was really special, man. I appreciate you doing what you're doing with this podcast. I think it's really cool to let these guys tell their stories and stuff. And thanks for everything. Thanks for reaching out to all these. You got to do the fun stuff, man. You got to reach out to all these guys and talk baseball about it.
It's fun.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm like making new friends, like late in life.
Man.
Here,
it's cool. So keep it up, man.
I appreciate it. And you actually, right after we got off last time, you were really, you were pumping me up. You were like saying like you liked the name of it. You thought it was cool. And like, that made me feel good. And you were kind of like, where is this going? Like, because it's going somewhere. I don't know where this is headed, but it feels right, and I'm going to keep doing it. And it's been so fun, and I'm glad I give you an opportunity to share your story. And like I said, hopefully your boys can listen to this someday. Like someday you won't be here, or someday you'll be an old man and you'll forget things like Bobby.
Yeah, I'm already forgetting right now.
Right? And like your boys will always have this. Your wife will have this. Your family can listen to this. I know the whole baseball community here is listening, so
I'll be texting you one day when I'm in my 60s or 70s, man, and again, just to appreciate what you did.
I would love that. Oh, I hope we're still friends.
All the things that you did behind the scenes to get to this point, all the work, all the preparation, like you're a true professional, not just as a podcast, but you were as a ball player too, man.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate
know how
that.
passionately you were about baseball. You played a long time.
Yeah, I loved it.
We, much respect for you, man.
I played till the wheels fell off, my man. They had to rip that jersey off my back. Right. I love the game, and this is my way of giving back, and I'm able to give money back into the community, and like
that's cool, man.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, speaking of that, I need to give you a check for chatting baseball. So
that sounds great, man.
Yeah,
appreciate it, dude.
This has been amazing. Thank you for your time. Like I said, me and the Crookster are boys now. Post game spread. This is going to be our final episode here with Casey. Been awesome. Next up, Bo Hart. So I'm going to take my time getting through that, and then we'll come back. We're still going to do Corey. I'm so pumped to do that. So I'm going to need you for that.
Okay.
And I'll need Bobby again, obviously, and we'll go through those kind of guys. But I know you kind of said Corey's not the biggest talker, so I might have to do some talking for him.
Good luck.
Yep, good luck. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate your time. I'm a huge believer in time being the most valuable thing, so thank you for yours. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Blake.
Cool, we're out. So thank you for yours.
Cannot believe I forgot this. As is custom, we're going to have the dad take us out. So here's Bobby Erickson taking us out.
How dang proud are you of this guy? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, proud and not just the sports. It's the way he takes. It's the way he accepts. I'm trying to think how best was he's so low key about everything, and he's so he gives credit to where credit is due always. Where to somebody else, he's so good at that, and he's never bragged in his life. He's always he's still like that, and he expects his kids to be like that. He does so good in that respect. Proud of the way he holds himself. Day in and day out, he does even his job. He works hard at his job. He wants his kids to be the best kids, not just the best baseball players, and he loves his mother so much. So proud of, the way he treats his mother, and it's the greatest thing in the world. And his kids will end up doing the same thing. So he's just, I would say, a great American. He's that guy. He's that guy you want your kid to be like. He's the kid you want. He's the guy you want your kid to be like.